Chapter 24:17. Mo Qingyun ignored Tai Yueying's anger and turned to look at Shi Hong. Compared to Tai Yueying, Shi Hong was the one he should be concerned about. He needed to spend more effort to deal with him. Great Perfection Sage Realm. Shi Hong was shocked when he sensed Mo Qingyun's cultivation. He looked at Mo Qingyun differently. Based on his understanding of Mo Qingyun had just entered the Saint Realm a few months ago. In just a few months, Mo Qingyun's cultivation had risen from the Great Perfection Sage Realm to the Great Perfection Sage Realm. This kind of cultivation speed had already exceeded his experience. This kid's cultivation talent is much more terrifying than we expected. After discovering Mo Qingyun's cultivation talent, Shi Hong's expression immediately turned solemn. He took Mo Qingyun seriously for the first time. He suddenly realized that the brat he had disdained seemed to have the qualifications to challenge him. Intermediate Galaxy Realm. He's a good sparring partner. After glancing at Shi Hong, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and released a fighting spirit. During this period of time, he had condensed the Saint Power Star cluster and his strength had improved greatly. He needed someone to spar with. Shi Hong, who was only at the Intermediate Galaxy Realm, was a good sparring partner. With this thought in mind, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated. He turned to Tian Song and the others beside him and said, "Ancestor Tian Song, you guys deal with Tai Yueying. I'll deal with this person." Okay. Upon hearing Mo Qingyun's order, Tian Song and the others immediately responded and quickly surrounded Tai Yueying. During the brief contact earlier, they had already sensed that although Tai Yueying's cultivation was at the Great Perfection Sage Realm, he had not condensed the Saint Power Star cluster. As a result, Tai Yueying's strength was not strong and it was not difficult to deal with him. If they had not been afraid of Shi Hong, Tai Yueying would not have been able to show off in front of them with his strength. Seeing the actions of Tian Song and the others, Tai Yueying's expression immediately turned solemn. She looked at them with fear. Previously, he was merely a fox exploiting the tiger's might. Now that he no longer had Shi Hong's backing, he could not be unyielding anymore. He could sense that among Tian Song and the others present, any one of them was stronger than him. Go! Just as Tai Yueying was starting to panic, Tian Song instructed everyone and rushed towards Tai Yueying. When Tian Song and the others attacked, Mo Qingyun also moved. He took the initiative to rush towards Shi Hong and said, "They have already attacked. Let's not waste any more time." Arrogant brat. This old man will show you some power. Seeing that Mo Qingyun had taken the initiative to attack, Shi Hong's face darkened as he spoke these words angrily. As Shi Hong roared, an imposing saint power burst out from his body. The saint power burst out and turned into a huge palm shadow, slamming down on Mo Qingyun. Good timing. In the face of Shi Hong's palm, Mo Qingyun did not retreat. Instead, he took the initiative to punch the palm shadow. As Mo Qingyun brandished his fist, a frightening power of thunder gathered on his fist. Bang! Under the bombardment of Mo Qingyun's fist, the palm shadow immediately collapsed with a deafening sound. After destroying the palm shadow with one punch, Mo Qingyun's figure did not stop. Instead, he quickly rushed towards Shi Hong. Mo Qingyun's figure flickered a few times before he arrived in front of Shi Hong. He bombarded Shi Hong crazily. In the face of Mo Qingyun's storm-like attacks, Shi Hong was immediately shocked. His eyelids kept twitching as he exclaimed, How is this possible? This brat's cultivation is only at the Sage Realm Great Perfection. How can his combat strength be so strong?" This discovery really frightened Shi Hong. It made him reevaluate Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun was already on par with him without using Saint Power or Divine Sense. If he used Saint Power or Divine Sense, it would be even more terrifying. I underestimated this brat's strength. I'm afraid I can't deal with him alone. After exchanging a few blows with Mo Qingyun, Shi Hong realized that things were not going well. He wanted to retreat and thought to himself, "The Patriarch has already sent people here. There's no hurry to deal with this brat. I'll leave for now. It won't be too late to deal with him when everyone comes. With this thought in mind, Shi Hong did not want to stay any longer and immediately retreated. Seeing Shi Hong's action, Mo Qingyun guessed his thoughts and said sarcastically, "Didn't you want to avenge your junior? Why are you running for your life now? Are the people of the Celestial Dragon Rock clan all so cowardly?" You. Hearing Mo Qingyun's sarcastic words, Shi Hong was furious. His face turned green with anger. However, although Shi Hong was furious, he did not fall for Mo Qingyun's trick. He chose to run for his life without hesitation. In his opinion, now was not the time to act on impulse. He would wait for his people to arrive first. "You can keep your composure." Seeing Shi Hong's reaction, Mo Qingyun's lips curled up. The smile on his face deepened. He said, "I don't mind telling you clearly. Since you're already here, don't even think about running away. Since you don't want to fight with me, I'll have to send you on your way." After Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he no longer held back his strength and took out all the Saint Power Star clusters. Suddenly, a terrifying flame power exploded from Mo Qingyun's body. When the flame power exploded, the imposing Saint Power Star clusters appeared outside Mo Qingyun's body. 20,000 Saint Power Star clusters. Seeing the Saint Power Star clusters outside Mo Qingyun's body, Shi Hong was so shocked that his eyelids twitched. His eyes widened. As far as he knew, no matter how talented a person was, the number of Saint Power Star clusters he could condense was only 10,000. However, Mo Qingyun had formed 20,000 Saint Power Star clusters. This was too abnormal. It broke the rules of cultivation. Demonic Star, Splitting Palm. After Mo Qingyun took out the Saint Power Star clusters, he did not waste any time talking to Shi Hong. He immediately threw out a palm. As Mo Qingyun waved his palm, the power of the sun quickly gathered in his palm like a ferocious dragon. Then, a gigantic flaming palm that covered the sky smashed down on Shi Hong domineeringly. So powerful. Looking at the huge flaming palm that was approaching rapidly, Shi Hong was so frightened that his body trembled. He immediately felt a sense of trepidation. While Shi Hong was panicking, he did not wait for death. He hurriedly threw out a palm above his head. However, the power of Shi Hong's palm was too different from the power of Mo Qingyun's palm. Boom! Under the crushing pressure of the huge flaming palm, the palm shadow that Shi Hong threw out was directly crushed. After crushing Shi Hong's palm shadow, the attack of the huge flaming palm did not diminish. It engulfed Shi Hong in an instant. "No! Impossible! How can you defeat me?" After being bombarded by the huge flaming palm, Shi Hong's voice was filled with panic. He was unwilling to admit defeat. Chapter 24:18. How is this possible? Even with Senior Shi Hong's powerful strength, he is no match for him. Tai Weiing was so frightened that his face twitched and his body trembled when he saw that Shi Hong had been sent flying by Mo Qingyun and had fallen heavily to the ground. Shi Hong was his pillar of support, and the reason why he was still stubbornly resisting was because of Shi Hong. Now that even Shi Hong had been defeated, it was undoubtedly a great blow to him. Even with Shi Hong's terrifying strength, he was no match for Mo Qingyun, let alone Tai Weiying's insignificant cultivation. Am I really going to die here? Tai Weiying's face turned pale when he thought of his fate, and a sense of sadness arose in his heart. He did not expect that the confrontation between him and Mo Qingyun would end in such a way. While Tai Weiing was distracted, Tian Song's palm landed on his body and sent him flying in a domineering manner. Bang! 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 Tai Weiing fell heavily to the ground and crashed into a house, making a loud noise. After sending Tai Weiing flying with a palm, Tian Song and the others did not stop and quickly chased after Tai Weiing. In a short while, Tai Weiing had lost the ability to fight back under the attacks of Tian Song and the others. Immediately after, Tai Weiing's cultivation was sealed, and he was captured by Tian Song and the others. When Tai Weiing was captured, Shi Hong slowly stood up and stared at Mo Qingyun with a gloomy look in his eyes. The defeat in the confrontation just now made him realize that he was probably no match for Mo Qingyun. If he did not go all out, he was likely to die here under the hands of Mo Qingyun. The speed of this kid's growth is so terrifying. I'm afraid only the patriarch can deal with him. After knowing Mo Qingyun's strength, Shihong's face was gloomy and he hesitated whether to fight with his life on the line. After a fierce struggle in his heart, Shihong made a decision. He gritted his teeth and roared angrily. "Kid, you forced me to do this. If you want me to die, you will have to pay a painful price." Shihong roared and detonated his Saint Power Star cluster to increase his strength. As the Saint Power Star cluster exploded, the aura that Shihong exuded immediately increased rapidly. Soon, the aura that Shihong exuded reached the peak of the galaxy grade. "I thought you had some powerful means, but it turns out that you're just blowing up the Saint Power Star cluster." When he sensed Shihong's aura, Mo Qingyun curled his lips and said disdainfully, "If you had broken through to the celestial domain grade, you might have been able to threaten me. Unfortunately, you're only at the peak galaxy grade." As Mo Qingyun spoke, he waved his arm and summoned 7 sky sacred sect spiritual puppets. As the 7 spiritual puppets of the Heavenly Saints sect came out, they emitted a strong aura that enveloped Shihong. 7 Galaxy Intermediate Stage Soul Puppets. This brat actually has such a trump card. When he saw the 7 Galaxy Realm Soul Puppets appear, Shihong's expression changed drastically, and his body started to tremble uncontrollably. This unforeseen event had happened so suddenly that he was completely unprepared. Thus, he did not know how to deal with it. Although he had blown up the Saint Power Star cluster and raised his cultivation to the peak galaxy grade, his chances of winning were still very slim. Tai Yueying, who had been captured by Tian Song and the others, was stunned when she sensed the aura of the Sky Sacred Sect spiritual puppets. She said in shock, "He actually has such a trump card. It seems like I was wrong. This kind of person will eventually soar to the top." Compared to Shihong and Tai Yueying, Tian Song and the others were ecstatic when they saw Mo Qingyun's performance. Qingyun actually has such a trump card. It's really hard to imagine. The aura of those spiritual puppets is even stronger than Shihong's. It seems like the outcome has been decided. This brat really resembles me when I was young. If I'm not wrong, he should be a descendant of mine. Old man Tianqing, can you be a little more shameless? Have you ever touched a woman in your life? Although I have never touched a woman, I just happened to touch a few women when they were bathing in the Heavenly Soul River. While Tian Song and the others were getting excited, they were also teasing him and looking very pleased. The spirit puppets of the Heavenly Saints sect were summoned, and they fought with Shihong, suppressing him immediately. Seeing that Shihong was in a passive position, Mo Qingyun looked disappointed. He sighed and said, "Shihong self-destructed the Saint Power Star cluster. Although his cultivation has skyrocketed, the increase in his strength is not by much. The difference between him and Zi Qingrong is too obvious." After understanding Shihong's situation, Mo Qingyun did not want to waste time with him and joined the battle. Door of Death. Mo Qingyun flipped his palm, and a gush of eerie saint power gathered in his palm, turning into a black door of light. The door of death formed and turned into a stream of light, shrouding Shihong rapidly. What? What is this superpower? What a terrifying aura! Seeing the door of death approaching rapidly, Shihong's expression changed drastically. Fear surged in his eyes. After realizing this, Shihong did not dare to hesitate and was ready to turn and run for his life. Unfortunately, under the siege of the 7 sky sacred sect spiritual puppets, he did not have the chance to escape. Then, Shihong was sealed by the door of death bit by bit with unwillingness and fear. Boom! A loud sound was heard. Shihong was sealed by the door of death and was crazily attacking the door of death. Although Shihong's attack was strong, the damage it could do to the door of death was limited. Under the erosion of the door of death, Shihong's skin began to turn pale. His aura was also weakening rapidly. What superpower is this? It's swallowing my life origin. After realizing this, the fear in Hong's expression became more and more intense. He was shocked and said, "At this rate, I will die of old age in the time it takes to drink a cup of tea." Not long after, Hong's skin that was exposed outside had all turned deathly white. As his skin turned pale, Hong's body began to turn into sand and dissipated into the air. "No, I don't want to die." Seeing his body dissipating bit by bit, Hong's face was filled with unwillingness as he roared crazily. Then, under the intimidation and nervousness, Hong slowly turned into ashes. Senior Hong is dead. Seeing Hong being killed by the door of death, Tai Yueying's legs turned to jelly and he fell to the ground. When he saw this result, he knew that he would definitely die today. "Qingyun, how should we deal with this person?" Seeing Mo Qingyun walk over, Tian Song asked for his opinion on how to deal with Tai Yueying. Under Tian Song's question, Mo Qingyun glanced at Tai Yueying and waved his hand impatiently. "Since he dares to offend the Sky Soul Demon Clan, we cannot forgive him. Let him accompany Hong." "All right." After receiving Mo Qingyun's instructions, Tian Song immediately nodded and ordered his men to kill Tai Yueying. Chapter 24:19. Ancestor Tian Song, gather everyone. I have something important to discuss with all of you. On the way out of the dungeon, Mo Qingyun had a serious expression as he instructed Tian Song beside him. Hearing Mo Qingyun's instructions, Tian Song immediately nodded and ordered Tian Qing and the others to gather everyone. Not long after, everyone arrived at the meeting hall and waited for Mo Qingyun's instructions. "Qingyun, everyone is here. You can explain to them now." Seeing that everyone was here, Tian Song broke the silence and gestured to Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun did not waste any more time and said in a deep voice, "A few months ago, I went to an outer world land of heritage and became enemies with a powerful outer world tribe. Hong, who came to the clan previously, is an expert from this tribe. Since they've been here once, they'll definitely come again. Therefore, we have to take precautions." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words and thinking of Hong's powerful strength, Tian Song and the others tensed up. Although they had condensed the Saint Power Star cluster and greatly increased their strength, there was still a huge gap between them and Hong. When Tian Song thought of this, he revealed a worried expression and asked, "Qingyun, what good suggestions do you have? Let's hear them." As soon as Tian Song spoke, everyone looked expectant as they waited for Mo Qingyun's instructions. Under everyone's gaze, Mo Qingyun pondered for a moment before saying, "Since I created the immortal palace of creation, I can't always stay in the clan. Most importantly, I might have to leave the wasteland continent soon, so I can't always protect everyone." Tian Song and the others nodded at Mo Qingyun's words. They had already expected this. With Mo Qingyun's cultivation talent, the wasteland continent was still too small for him. "Now, I have two suggestions for you to choose." Looking at the solemn expressions of Tian Song and the others, Mo Qingyun did not stop talking. He continued, "First, you can follow me to the Wasteland Prison Domain and move the Heavenly Soul Demon Rays to the Wasteland Prison Domain. Then, you can directly receive the protection of the Immortal Palace of Creation. Second, I can build a teleportation formation here. When the Heavenly Soul Demon Race is in danger, the Immortal Palace of Creation will send reinforcements." Hearing Mo Qingyun's two suggestions, Tian Song and the others immediately discussed which one to choose. After some discussion, they came to a decision. They turned to Mo Qingyun and said, "Qingyun, we've already thought about it. Migrating our tribe is too troublesome. We can't do it in a short time. Let's just set up a teleportation array." "All right." Mo Qingyun did not object to Tian Song's suggestion and immediately nodded in agreement. After resolving the hidden danger of the heavenly constellation dragon rock race, Tian Song and the others revealed an inquiring expression and said, "Qingyun, regarding the aspect of breaking through to the nebula realm, we have encountered some difficulties. Can you help us clear up some doubts? If there's anything you don't understand, you can ask me now." Mo Qingyun nodded in agreement to Tian Song's and the others' questions and began to answer them one by one. After Mo Qingyun's explanation, Tian Song and the others revealed a look of understanding. The doubts in their hearts about cultivation were solved. Next, they chatted for a while more before leaving the conference hall. After leaving the conference hall, Mo Qingyun did not waste any time and immediately threw himself into setting up the teleportation array. As Shuelong and the others did not follow him, he could only rely on himself to set up the teleportation array this time. However, with his current cultivation, it was not difficult for him to set up a teleportation formation across realms. A few days later, under Mo Qingyun's tireless efforts, the teleportation formation was finally set up and emitted a powerful array energy. After setting up the teleportation formation, Mo Qingyun smiled with satisfaction and said, "Next, I just need to set up another teleportation formation in the Palace of Fortune and everything will be done." Sob, sob, sob. At this moment, as Mo Qingyun was talking to himself happily, a throbbing came from the Soul Palace. The five-colored heavenly crow has awakened. Sensing the movement in the Soul Palace, Missouri Qingyun's expression changed slightly, and then a look of pleasant surprise appeared on his face. Ever since the five-colored heavenly crow had fallen asleep on the path of the stars, it had not moved. Unexpectedly, it had awakened at this moment, which surprised Mo Qingyun. Seeing that the five-colored heavenly crow had awakened, Mo Qingyun summoned it out to see the harvest of its cultivation this time. As the five-colored heavenly crow was summoned, it emitted a terrifying heat wave and enveloped Mo Qingyun. The later stage of the Saint Realm. When Mo Qingyun was enveloped by the heat wave, he sensed the cultivation of the five-colored heavenly crow, and a look of surprise appeared on his face. In just a few months, the five-colored heavenly crow's cultivation had risen from the early stage of the Saint Realm to the later stage of the Saint Realm. Even Mo Qingyun did not have the slightest advantage over the five-colored heavenly crow in terms of cultivation speed. It should be known that the five-colored heavenly crow had only slept for a while, but Mo Qingyun had gone through untold hardships. There was no way to compare the two. As expected of a divine beast, its talent is indeed different. After sensing the cultivation of the five-colored heavenly crow, Mo Qingyun could not help but sigh and feel a strong sense of emotion. Some powerful races were born with a unique advantage in terms of cultivation. While Mo Qingyun was feeling emotional, the five-colored heavenly crow rubbed against Mo Qingyun's shoulder obediently and said, "Master, I'm so hungry. Do you have any food to eat? You want to eat again?" Hearing the words of the five-colored heavenly crow, Mo Qingyun's expression froze, and he did not know whether to laugh or cry. From what he knew, the five-colored heavenly crow seemed to always want to eat after it hatched. Seeing Mo Qingyun's reaction, the five-colored heavenly crow said with an embarrassed look, "I just hatched and am still in the infancy stage. Naturally, I need more nutrition." Hearing the words of the five-colored heavenly crow, Mo Qingyun nodded in understanding and expressed that he could understand. The growth of a demonic beast had a total of 4 stages: infancy, growth, adulthood, and aging. The five-colored heavenly crow was still in the infancy stage and indeed needed a large amount of food to ensure its normal growth. "What kind of food do you need?" After understanding the situation of the five-colored heavenly crow, Mo Qingyun did not think too much and directly asked it. Hearing Mo Qingyun's question, the five-colored heavenly crow showed a thoughtful expression and said, "Flame, the stronger the flame, the better for me." "Flame?" Mo Qingyun showed a thoughtful expression. He wondered where there was such a flame that could satisfy the five-colored heavenly crow's requirements. As Mo Qingyun pondered, he could not help but look at the sky and think of the flames of civilization. Chapter 24:20. Upon seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, the five-colored sky crow raised its head and looked at the sky in confusion. Due to its racial instincts, the five-colored sky crow had an extremely sensitive perception of the power of flames. When the five-colored sky crow looked at the sky, it sensed the civilization fire in the sky and immediately jumped up in joy. This is the origin flame. After discovering the barrier of the flame of civilization, the five-colored heavenly crow spoke in a pleasantly surprised tone. Then, the five-colored sky crow's body moved and flew up into the sky. Based on its actions, it seemed like it wanted to head to the boundary of the civilization fire and devour the civilization fire to increase its strength. Upon seeing the five-colored sky crow's actions, Mo Qingyun looked nervous and hurriedly chased after the five-colored sky crow. He knew very well how terrifying the boundary of the civilization fire was. It was too dangerous for the five-colored sky crow to devour it. More importantly, the people of the Big Dipper Dragon rock race could come at any time. If the five-colored sky crow encountered them, it would definitely be very bad. Given the five-colored sky crow's current strength, it would be very difficult for it to face a galaxy-grade powerhouse alone. After a while, Mo Qingyun caught up with the five-colored sky crow and said worriedly, "The power of the boundary of the civilization fire is very terrifying. It is too dangerous for you to refine it rashly given your current strength. Furthermore, the desolate continent has been very unstable recently. Come back with me first. We can talk about devouring the civilization fire later." "Don't worry, Master. It is only a low-level origin flame. This level of flame power is not a threat to me." The five-colored sky crow didn't seem to care about Mo Qingyun's worries. Instead, it replied to Mo Qingyun and added, "As for the Big Dipper Dragon rock race, as long as there are no celestial domain-grade powerhouses, they won't be a threat to me." Upon hearing the five-colored sky crow's reply, Mo Qingyun's expression improved a little. He didn't doubt the five-colored sky crow's words. It was very normal for a powerful race like the five-colored sky crow to have some powerful means. Upon hearing this, Mo Qingyun hesitated for a moment before saying, "Be careful. If you encounter any danger, don't try to be brave. Head to the prison wasteland realm to look for me immediately." "Yes," the five-colored heavenly crow responded and sped up, flying toward the fire of civilization barrier. After finishing his discussion with the five-colored heavenly crow, Mo Qingyun returned to the Heavenly Soul Demon Clan's main branch to bid farewell to Tian Song and the others. Only half of the teleportation formation had been set up. He had to hurry back to the Immortal Palace of Fortune to finish setting up the remaining half. Only by doing this would he be able to take care of the Heavenly Soul Demons when the Heavenly Spirit Dragonstone race arrived. Mo Qingyun was certain that since the Wasteland continent had been discovered, the invasion of the Heavenly Dipper Dragon rock race was not far away. Mo Qingyun's figure flashed a few times before he returned to the main clan. He immediately found Tian Song and the others. "Ancestor Tian Song, the teleportation array has been set up. I have to hurry back to the Immortal Palace of Fortune." When Mo Qingyun found Tian Song and the others, he bade them farewell and prepared to return to the Immortal Palace of Fortune immediately. "You're leaving so soon?" When he heard that Mo Qingyun was about to leave, Tian Song was shocked. He said reluctantly, "It's rare for you to return to the clan, and you haven't rested for even a moment. Stay a few more days before you leave. Let's treat you well. Next time." Mo Qingyun rejected Tian Song and the other suggestion without hesitation. He explained, "The situation is not optimistic now. I don't know when the Heavenly Spirit Dragon rock race will come to the Wasteland continent. Therefore, I have to complete the teleportation array as soon as possible to ensure that I can take care of the Heavenly Soul Demons when the Heavenly Spirit Dragon rock race arrives. Since that's the case, we won't keep you." Tian Song and the others nodded when they heard Mo Qingyun's explanation. They understood Mo Qingyun's thoughts. It seemed that Mo Qingyun could not stay for long. He had to hurry back to the Immortal Palace of Fortune. Otherwise, if the Heavenly Spirit Dragon rock race split up, he would not be able to attend to two things at once. After Tian Song and the others shared their thoughts, Mo Qingyun gave them a few more instructions before he set off for the Immortal Palace of Fortune. After setting off for the Immortal Palace of Fortune, Mo Qingyun controlled the flying boat while immersing himself in cultivation. His current cultivation base had already risen to the sage great perfection and could break through to the nebula grade at any time. If his cultivation base broke through to the nebula grade before the heavenly spirit dragon rock race arrived, he would have more confidence. Otherwise, if there was a celestial domain grade powerhouse among the heavenly spirit dragon rock race, he would be in a passive position. If he broke through to the nebula grade, he would not be in a passive position even if there was a celestial domain grade powerhouse among the heavenly spirit dragon rock race. Mo Qingyun continued to cultivate and improve his strength as he hurried back. A few days later, a flying boat that was flying at high speed suddenly emitted a dazzling light and a terrifying aura. Under the shroud of this aura, the surrounding pedestrians and beasts all retreated in shock. Under everyone's shocked gazes, the light on the flying boat became brighter and brighter as it rushed directly into the galaxy. As the beam of light shot into the galaxy, a mysterious power of the galaxy poured down from the galaxy. Then, the flying boat that was flying at high speed was shrouded by the galaxy power. This is the galaxy power. It is indeed very powerful. It is even more powerful and mysterious than the saint power. Mo Qingyun, who was sitting in the flying boat, smiled faintly after being shrouded by the galaxy power. Half a day ago, his cultivation base had successfully broken through and entered the nebula grade. Although Mo Qingyun was pleasantly surprised, he did not hesitate to refine the power of the galaxy right away. Under Mo Qingyun's refinement, the galaxy power was poured into the Saint Power Star Cluster and strengthened it. As the galaxy power was poured in, the connection between the Saint Power Star Cluster immediately became closer. Not only that, but an even more mysterious power was also produced from the Saint Power Star Cluster. Sensing the changes in the Saint Power Star Cluster, Mo Qingyun was immediately pleasantly surprised. He became excited and thought to himself, with the support of this power, the saint power in my body is very powerful. It has at least increased by several times compared to before. Mo Qingyun was secretly delighted for a while. He then collected his thoughts and once again immersed himself in cultivation. Taking advantage of the time on the road, he could stabilize his cultivation base so that he could focus on dealing with the Heavenly Dragon Rock clan. 2 days later, as Mo Qingyun cultivated and traveled, he returned to the immortal palace of creation. When Mo Qingyun returned to the immortal palace of creation, he immediately found Enchun and asked about the recent situation of the immortal palace of creation. Under Mo Qingyun's inquiry, Enchun truthfully reported some of the recent situation to Mo Qingyun. Knowing that Shi Yang had come to the immortal palace of creation, Mo Qingyun was shocked and felt a lingering fear. Chapter 24-21. Fortunately, I left Enchun behind. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. After understanding the situation in the Palace of Creation, Mo Qingyun stopped thinking about it and immediately set up the teleportation formation. Since Shi Yang was already here, the other experts from the Big Dipper Dragon Rock clan should be here soon. He had to speed up and complete the teleportation formation before the experts from the Big Dipper Dragon Rock clan arrived. Enchun, I'm going to set up a teleportation formation. You continue to guard the Palace of Creation. After instructing Enchun, Mo Qingyun returned to the palace and looked for a place to set up the teleportation formation. Soon, Mo Qingyun found a place and began to set up the teleportation formation. In order to save time, Mo Qingyun summoned Shuelong and the others to help him set up the teleportation formation. With the help of Shuelong and the others, Mo Qingyun's speed of setting up the teleportation formation increased significantly. With the current speed of setting up the teleportation formation, it will take at most 5 days to set up the teleportation formation. Looking at the speed of setting up the teleportation formation, Mo Qingyun calculated the time it would take to set up the teleportation formation. After knowing the time it would take to set up the teleportation formation, Mo Qingyun became anxious and hoped in his heart, I hope that the teleportation formation will be completed before the Big Dipper Dragon Rock clan arrives. 5 days was not a long time, but it was not a short time either. In addition to the time spent before, it was almost a month in total. Mo Qingyun could not guarantee that he could do it. On the third day after Mo Qingyun set up the teleportation formation, Shi Yang attacked the Palace of Creation again and forced Enchun to fight with him. When Enchun and Shi Yang fought, the Palace of Creation's defensive formation was severely damaged by the aftermath of the battle. Mo Qingyun was vexed by this situation. He felt a headache coming on. Judging from the current situation, he did not have the time to repair the Palace of Creation's defensive formation. After discovering that the defensive formation was damaged, Mo Qingyun also realized that his formation was not good enough. He thought to himself, "It seems that my formation skills are still too low." With regards to this, Mo Qingyun also felt helpless. The resources of the wasteland continent were too lacking. If he wanted to obtain more powerful techniques, he would have to go to a higher plane continent. Only then would he have a chance to obtain them. When Mo Qingyun understood this, his desire to leave the wild continent grew even stronger. Since the defensive formation is ineffective, we'll send everyone to the Fortune mainland when the transmission array is ready. Seeing that the defensive array was damaged, Mo Qingyun had a plan. He knew how to deal with this situation. The cultivation levels of the disciples of the immortal Palace of Creation were too low. If they were not moved away, they would be killed by the shockwaves of the battle once they lost the protection of the defensive formation. 5 days passed very quickly. After 5 days of tirelessly setting up the teleportation formation was finally completed. It was now connected to the heavenly soul demons. In that case, it's time to send everyone to the Fortune mainland. Seeing that the imparting array was set up, Mo Qingyun's expression relaxed, and he began to gather everyone. A short while later, under Mo Qingyun's summons, everyone was gathered. After gathering everyone, Mo Qingyun did not waste any time and immediately sent them to the Fortune mainland. No one objected to Mo Qingyun's arrangement, as they knew that the current situation was not good. Mo Qingyun sent them to the Fortune mainland out of consideration for their safety. Phew, it's finally settled. Several hours later, Mo Qingyun let out a long sigh of relief. His heart was finally at ease. After sending everyone away, he had nothing to worry about. All he needed to do was to wait for the heavenly star dragon rock race's arrival. At that time, even if he was no match for them, he could retreat and not fall into a passive situation. Master, the heavenly star dragon rock race's expert, is still in the Chionyo city. Should we deal with him? Seeing that Mo Qingyun had moved everyone away, Enchun showed an inquiring expression and asked for Mo Qingyun's opinion. Hearing Enchun's question, Mo Qingyun hesitated for a moment before replying. "Let's go. We'll deal with one first. It'll save us some trouble." A martialist with a mid-stage galaxy-grade cultivation base would undoubtedly play a huge role in a battle. Now that they had dealt with the stone goat, they would be able to reduce the pressure on them when they fought with the heavenly star dragon rock race. And Mo Qingyun was still thinking that if he had enough time, he could still capture the stone goat and refine it into a spirit puppet. After understanding Mo Qingyun's thoughts, Enchun did not hesitate and immediately led the way for Mo Qingyun. Enchun's figure flickered a few times, and he appeared above a drum tower. He shouted coldly, "Stop hiding and come out for a fight." When Enchun shouted angrily, he also threw a palm strike at the drum tower below. Facing Enchun's sudden attack, the stone goat that was hiding in the drum tower immediately released its aura. Bang! 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 Due to Shi Yang's aura, the drum tower was blasted apart and turned into a pile of dust that scattered everywhere. After Shi Yang released his aura and shattered the drum tower, he sent out a palm strike towards the sky. As Shi Yang waved his palm, he also put on a disdainful expression and said sarcastically, "I thought that you would continue to hide. I didn't expect you to take the initiative to come out." As soon as Shi Yang spoke, he noticed Mo Qingyun, and a look of surprise appeared on his face. While Shi Yang was sizing up Mo Qingyun, he also released his soul power to sense Mo Qingyun's cultivation base. Nebula grade. After sensing Mo Qingyun's cultivation base, Shi Yang was shocked and his eyes widened. Nebula grade. This kid's cultivation base has broken through again. This cultivation speed is really shocking. After a brief moment of shock, Shi Yang's face darkened and his expression became tense. At this moment, a sense of relief rose in his heart. Fortunately, we discovered the wasteland continent. Otherwise, if we let him cultivate for another year or so, we really wouldn't be able to suppress him. Boom! While Shi Yang's mind was filled with thoughts, the two palms collided and exploded with a shocking sound. At the same time, a terrifying shockwave from the battle spread out in all directions. Under the shockwave of the battle, the houses within a 10-mile radius were all blasted into dust. So you found a helper. No wonder you dare to come and fight me. After blocking In Chen's attack, Shi Yang's figure flashed into the air and faced off against Mo Qingyun and In Chen. He said, however, although Mo Qingyun's cultivation is strong, he's only at the nebula realm. I'm afraid he won't be of much help to you. That's not necessarily true. Hearing Shi Yang's words, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and shook his head. Previously, when I was only at the Sage Perfection realm, I still killed Shi Hong. How much stronger do you think you are compared to Shi Hong? You killed Shi Hong. After knowing that Shi Hong was killed, Shi Yang immediately trembled and his face was filled with shock. Chapter 24-22. You can ask Shi Hong this question when you go down. Mo Qingyun's face was cold. After replying to Shi Yang, he joined the battle. Mo Qingyun's figure moved, and he arrived in front of Shi Yang. He threw a punch at Shi Yang. As Mo Qingyun swung his fist, two faintly discernible light accumulations appeared outside his body. When these two light accumulations appeared, they emitted a powerful aura that made people feel intimidated. This is the nebulous saint garment. Seeing the light accumulations outside Mo Qingyun's body, Shi Yang was so frightened that his face changed drastically. It was as if he had been greatly frightened. Before Shi Yang could recover from the shock in his heart, the shock on his face became even more intense. He said in a trembling voice, Two nebulous saint garments. How is this possible? Even if the Saint Power Star cluster is condensed to the extreme, it can only evolve one. How did he awaken two? This discovery really frightened Shi Yang. It broke his previous understanding. He had once read in some ancient books that when the Saint Power Star cluster was condensed to the extreme and broke through to the nebula realm, the nebula saint garment would be awakened. However, it was clearly recorded in the ancient books that one could only awaken one at most. However, Mo Qingyun had awakened too. This was a little terrifying. It completely broke common sense. It seems that this nebulous saint garment should be the same as the Holy Glory super ability. Hearing Shi Yang's shocked words, Mo Qingyun thought for a moment and understood the origin of the nebulous saint garment. In this way, he had another powerful technique compared to people of the same level. After understanding the origin of the nebulous saint garment, Mo Qingyun was curious. He smiled faintly and said, I wonder what kind of effect this nebulous saint garment has. With this thought in mind, Mo Qingyun's figure moved and approached Shi Yang. When he arrived in front of Shi Yang, Mo Qingyun's fist also landed and blasted towards Shi Yang's face. Qingyang Skybreak. Facing Mo Qingyun's attack, Shi Yang did not dare to be careless. He immediately used his super ability to resist. As Shi Yang attacked, a shocking saint power burst out from his body. The saint power burst out and turned into a huge single-horned goat shadow, charging towards Mo Qingyun. When the single-horned goat shadow charged, its horn shone brightly like a golden diamond piercing through the sky. Bang! When the goat horn collided with Mo Qingyun's fist, it immediately exploded out with a massive explosion and a terrifying force. When this force appeared, it acted on Mo Qingyun's fist and attacked his fist. When Mo Qingyun's fist was attacked, the two nebulous saint robes on his body immediately emitted a dazzling light. When the blue nebulous saint garment shone brightly, Mo Qingyun could clearly feel a pure saint energy pouring into his body. After this discovery, Mo Qingyun was immediately shocked. He knew the function of the blue nebulous saint garment. He said in surprise, "It seems that the function of this blue nebulous saint garment should be to absorb the enemy's power to replenish saint energy during a battle." While Mo Qingyun was pondering, a shocking force erupted from the purple nebulous saint garment. When this force appeared, it blasted towards Shi Yang, causing damage to him directly. Judging from the purple nebulous saint garment's performance, it should be to counterattack part of the attack to the enemy. Seeing the purple nebulous saint garment's performance, Mo Qingyun guessed its function and became even more excited. In this way, he would have a great advantage when fighting with others in the future. In addition, his physical body was comparable to a galaxy-level divine weapon, who could compete with him in a head-on battle. Cough. After receiving the counterattack of the purple nebulous saint garment's power, Shi Yang immediately groaned and his face turned red. Obviously, the counterattack of the purple nebulous saint garment's power had caused him some minor injuries. Counterattack. This is the function of his nebulous saint garment. After being injured by the counterattack, Shi Yang also knew the function of Mo Qingyun's nebulous saint garment. After this discovery, he looked at Mo Qingyun with eyes full of fear and shock. How is he going to fight? Run. Then, Shi Yang did not want to stay any longer. He immediately turned around and prepared to run for his life. Before Shi Yang could move, Enchantment blocked his way and sneered, "A few days ago, didn't you say that we would fight for 10,000 rounds? Now that we have only fought for 1 round, why are you in such a hurry to run for your life?" You. Seeing Enchantment's action, Shi Yang was immediately at a loss for words. His face was filled with anxiety. When Enchantment stopped Shi Yang, Mo Qingyun chased after him and said to Enchantment, "Enchantment, stay at the side and prevent him from escaping. I want to use him to train my divine powers and adapt to my newly increased combat power." Yes. Hearing Mo Qingyun's order, Enchantment immediately nodded in response and quickly retreated to the side. After instructing Enchantment, Mo Qingyun did not stop and continued to chase after Shi Yang. Mo Qingyun's body flashed a few times. He arrived in front of Shi Yang and threw a punch at him. This time, Mo Qingyun still did not use his divine powers when he punched. He only relied on the strength of his physical body. Although Mo Qingyun did not use his divine powers, Shi Yang did not dare to be careless. He immediately counterattacked with all his might. Burning Sheep Falls. Faced with Mo Qingyun's powerful attack, Shi Yang quickly formed a seal with his hands and condensed a flame mark. Once this flame mark was formed, it bloomed with a dazzling light, and flaming sheep shadows ran out from it. When these flaming sheep shadows came out, they charged towards Mo Qingyun like a galloping horse. Good timing. Faced with Shi Yang's attack, Mo Qingyun let out a forthright roar, giving rise to an intense battle intent. In order to test the limit of the nebulous saint robe, Mo Qingyun simply let go of his resistance and allowed the flaming sheep shadows to hit him. Bang, bang, bang. When the flaming sheep shadows hit Mo Qingyun's body, a series of sounds erupted and engulfed Mo Qingyun. Seeing Mo Qingyun's action, Shi Yang's eyes immediately widened, and he felt a sense of shock. Madman. Mo Qingyun's action really scared Shi Yang and made him lose his mind. In his opinion, Mo Qingyun's current action was not something a normal person would do. What made Shi Yang vomit blood the most was that when his divine ability landed on Mo Qingyun's body, he was also injured. Although the damage from the divine power's counterattack was only close to 10% of the divine power's power, it was still somewhat unbearable for him. After all, his physical strength was not as abnormal as Mo Qingyun's. After suffering a series of counterattacks, Shi Yang's face turned even redder. He could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood. When Shi Yang spat out blood, a figure slowly walked out of the flaming sheep shadow. Looking at the figure, he did not seem to have suffered much damage under the attack of the flaming sheep shadow. Chapter 24-23. I've already given you the chance. Since you can't hurt me, don't blame me. Mo Qingyun walked out of the flaming goat shadow. His expression was cold as he released a murderous intent. He had already figured out the limit of the two Nebulous Saint Garments' power from the flaming goat shadow's attack. The blue Nebulous Saint Garment's power absorption was about 10%. As for the purple Nebulous Saint Garment's power, its limit was about 20%. Although it was only at the level of 10% or 20%, it was still very frightening when stacked up over and over again. And Chun do it. After Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he didn't say anything more to Shi Yang. Instead, he immediately ordered Enchun. After Mo Qingyun gave the order to Enchun, he moved and charged toward Shi Yang. Mo Qingyun's figure flashed a few times. He arrived in front of Shi Yang and blasted a palm at him. When Mo Qingyun attacked Shi Yang, he also summoned 7 spiritual puppets from the Sky Saint sect. He was ready to kill Shi Yang with lightning speed. 7 heavenly sacred sects were sent out. Under Mo Qingyun's control, they launched an attack on the stone sheep. Suddenly, a terrifying aura shrouded Shi Yang. 7 spiritual puppets of the galaxy grade. Shi Yang was shocked when he saw the spiritual puppets of the Sky Saint sect. He was stunned on the spot. He didn't expect Mo Qingyun to have such a trump card. While Shi Yang was still in shock, Mo Qingyun and the others' attacks were all in front of him. When he realized this, it was too late. It was too late to fight back. Left with no other choice, Shi Yang could only hastily defend himself and unleash his strongest technique. Sky Goat Celestial Demon Transformation. Shi Yang roared angrily, and a mass of blood-black saint power erupted from his body. This mass of blood-black saint energy spread out and enveloped Shi Yang, rapidly increasing his strength. At the same time, Shi Yang's body was also changing. In the blink of an eye, he became a few feet tall. When Shi Yang's body stopped changing, he had turned into a black goat and exuded a terrifying demonic aura. After Shi Yang changed his form, he launched an attack to defend against Mo Qingyun and the others' attacks. Bang, bang, bang. In an instant, Mo Qingyun and the other superpowers all landed on Shi Yang's body. After being attacked by Mo Qingyun and the others, Shi Yang's aura started to weaken rapidly. When Shi Yang's aura weakened, his body also shrunk, and in a short while, he returned to his original size. When he returned to his original form, he had lost all will to fight. He looked at Mo Qingyun in fear. He didn't expect Mo Qingyun to become so strong in just a few months. Since you're at your wit's end, I'll send you to hell. As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he sent out a palm strike that landed directly on the stone goat's head. Under Mo Qingyun's palm, Shi Yang slowly closed his eyes with an unwilling expression. He didn't expect that coming to the wild continent will be the end of his life. Let's go back. After killing Shi Yang, Mo Qingyun hinted to Enchun and left with Shi Yang's body. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Enchun immediately followed Mo Qingyun back to the immortal palace of creation. I hope there's enough time to refine Shi Yang into a spiritual puppet before the celestial dragon Ra clan arrives. On the way back to the immortal palace of creation, Mo Qingyun thought to himself, but he didn't really care. Now that the disciples of the immortal palace of creation had been moved, he didn't have too many concerns. Even if he couldn't win, he could just run for his life. The celestial dragon Ra clan wouldn't be able to stop him. Soon, Mo Qingyun returned to the immortal palace of creation and instructed Enchun, stay in the palace and investigate the situation. If the celestial dragon Ra clan comes, don't fight with them first. Everything will wait until I'm out of seclusion. Yes. Enchun immediately nodded and remembered Mo Qingyun's instructions. He remembered Mo Qingyun's instructions. After instructing Enchun, Mo Qingyun didn't waste any more time and immediately entered the Fortune continent. After arriving at the Fortune mainland, Mo Qingyun went into seclusion to refine the stone goat's corpse. Refine. Taking out the stone goat's corpse, Mo Qingyun ignited a ball of fire of civilization to burn it. Shi Yang was a galaxy-grade expert. Although his body wasn't as strong as Mo Qingyun's, it was still much stronger than ordinary people. Mo Qingyun sensed that Shi Yang's body was almost comparable to a nebula-grade weapon. The Celestial Dragon Rock clan is indeed famous for their strong body. After discovering Shi Yang's body, Mo Qingyun couldn't help but sigh. He couldn't help but feel some anticipation. In this case, the Shi Yang's body should be very strong after being refined into a spirit puppet. Following this, Mo Qingyun wholeheartedly immersed himself in the refinement process with this anticipation. 3 days later, Master, the Celestial Dragon Rock clan is here. When Mo Qingyun was at the critical point of refining, and Chen's soul transmission sounded in his mind. Mo Qingyun frowned when he received Chen's message. He became slightly surprised and said, "They've come pretty quickly. I'm currently in a critical period of refining, so I can't fight against the people of the heavenly constellation Dragon Rock clan. The situation is rather troublesome." Mo Qingyun stopped hesitating when he thought of that. He immediately gave an order to Enchun. Enchun, immediately activate the teleportation formation and head to the Heavenly Soul Demon clan. Destroy the teleportation formation when you leave. Mo Qingyun was worried that the Celestial Dragon Rock clan wouldn't be able to find him and would go to the Heavenly Soul Demon clan through the teleportation formation. At the same time, he was also worried that the Celestial Dragon Rock clan would split into 2 groups and send people to the Heavenly Soul Demon clan. Therefore, he ordered Enchun to do this. It was the safest way. Yes. After hearing Mo Qingyun's orders, Enchun immediately activated the teleportation formation and went to the Heavenly Soul Demon clan. Inside the Immortal Palace of Fortune. What's going on? Why isn't anyone here? Shi Bahai and the others' faces darkened when they saw the empty Palace of Fortune. Their faces were filled with surprise. This situation was far too different from what they had imagined. Just as Shi Bahai and the others were shocked, a weak ripple of formation power came from the teleportation formation. "There's movement over there. Let's go take a look." Shi Bahai's expression changed when he sensed the ripple of formation power. He immediately hurried over to the teleportation formation. When they arrived in front of the teleportation formation, they saw a figure flash through the teleportation formation. "It's the teleportation formation. Let's go." Shi Bahai and the others were shocked when they saw Chen's figure disappear. They hurriedly rushed over to the teleportation formation. Unfortunately, before they could even get close to the teleportation array, it was destroyed. Seeing this, the faces of Shi Bahai and the others immediately darkened. Chapter 24:24. What a cunning brat. He actually escaped first. Looking at the destroyed teleportation array in front of him, Shi Bahai's face darkened as he spoke angrily. He found it hard to accept that someone had escaped right in front of his eyes when he had personally taken action. "Patriarch, since Mo Qingyun has escaped, let's contact Shi Hong and Shi Yang." Seeing that the Immortal Palace of Fortune was empty, Shi Dang suggested to Shi Bahai to find another way to deal with Mo Qingyun. Hearing Shi Dang's suggestion, Shi Bahai's expression improved a little, and he took out a communication jade bead. Taking out the communication jade bead, Shi Bahai tapped it with his finger and activated it. However, to Shi Bahai's surprise, the communication jade bead didn't respond at all. This meant that Shi Hong and Shi Yang had encountered a mishap and were most likely dead. Shi Yang and Shi Yang's communication jade beads didn't respond at all. It seems that they have encountered an accident. Looking at the communication jade bead's performance, Shi Bahai's face darkened as he announced a grave result. Hearing Shi Bahai's words, Shi Dang and the others were stunned, unable to believe this was true. With Shi Yang and Shi Yang's strength, they actually encountered an accident here. This can't be true, right? Could there be some peerless expert hidden on the wild continent? According to the ancient records, the experts on the wild continent once fought a great battle with our clan. Could it be that they have never changed? If that's the case, could it be that we were attracted to the wild continent because of conspiracy? Shi Yang and Shi Yang's mishap made Shi Dang and the others somewhat nervous. and they couldn't help but think about it. Don't make wild guesses. We will soon know the specifics of the matter. Looking at the expressions of the people around him, Bahai's face darkened as he said in a deep voice, Imo Qingyun is a member of the Heavenly Soul Demon Clan. Although he can move the immortal Palace of Fortune, I don't believe he has enough time to do so. After saying this, Bahai's figure moved and flew out of the immortal Palace of Fortune. Hearing Bahai's words, Shao and the others immediately understood that Bahai wanted to go to the Heavenly Soul Demon race. Arriving above the immortal Palace of Creation, Bahai furiously slammed his palm downwards. Bahai's palm landed on the immortal Palace of Creation. Boom! A loud noise was heard. Then, a cloud of dust rose inside the Palace of Creation, creating a shocking wave of energy. The Palace of Creation was quickly destroyed and turned into a pile of rubble under the impact of this attack. Go! Seeing that the immortal Palace of Creation had been destroyed, Bahai revealed a satisfied expression. He turned around and flew out of Cheonyo City. Seeing Bahai turn around and leave, Shao and the others didn't dare to hesitate and followed after him. On the Fortune mainland, Imo Qingyun had no idea that the immortal Palace of Fortune had been destroyed. He was now at the crucial stage of refining a spiritual puppet. If he knew that Bahai and the others had gone to the Heavenly Soul Devil Clan, he would be very worried. After Bahai and the others left, everything returned to normal. Time passed quietly. 2 days later, a sharp aura erupted in front of Imo Qingyun. It was as if a heaven-shaking spear had been born. Sensing this shocking aura, Imo Qingyun's face lit up. The spiritual puppet was finally refined. Next, the spiritual puppet would be completed after it was tempered by the tribulation lightning. Boom, 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 waves of threatening tribulation clouds gathered above Imo Qingyun, emitting bursts of rumbling sounds. Not long after, a bolt of tribulation lightning as thick as a water tank struck the spiritual puppet. Because his dragon source tyrant body had reached perfection, Imo Qingyun didn't attract the tribulation lightning to temper his body. He allowed the tribulation lightning to strike the spiritual puppet. When the tribulation lightning landed on the spiritual puppet, it swallowed the spiritual puppet and bombarded it crazily. Seeing this, Imo Qingyun's expression became a little nervous. He was worried that the spiritual puppet couldn't withstand the tribulation lightning's bombardment. After a while, under Imo Qingyun's nervous gaze, the tribulation lightning slowly dissipated. As the tribulation lightning dissipated, the spiritual puppet appeared, emitting an even stronger aura. Late-stage Galaxy Realm. Sensing the spiritual puppet's aura, Imo Qingyun's face lit up. He immediately became excited. He didn't expect that the stone goat's spiritual puppet's cultivation would improve after being tempered by the tribulation lightning. This is an unexpected gain. For Imo Qingyun, having a late-stage Galaxy Realm helper was a good thing. After refining the stone goat's spiritual puppet, Imo Qingyun didn't want to delay any longer. He prepared to leave the Fortune mainland to take a look. I wonder what the situation outside is like. With a strong sense of worry, Imo Qingyun's figure flashed and left the Fortune mainland. When Imo Qingyun returned to the Fortune Immortal Palace, he couldn't help but be a little dumbfounded when he saw the surroundings. The Fortune Immortal Palace had been reduced to ruins. Bahai and the others were a little too ruthless. It seems like the Heavenly Star Dragon Rock Race's people are very angry that they didn't find me here. Imo Qingyun mocked himself with a faint smile. He then began to think about what to do next. Imo Qingyun pondered for a moment, and his expression immediately tensed up. He was extremely worried. Not good. The Heavenly Star Dragon Rock Race's people didn't find me. They probably went to the Heavenly Soul Devil Race. And Chun and the others are in a bad situation. Although he was worried, Imo Qingyun wasn't in a hurry. Instead, he was thinking about how to get there as soon as possible. If I fly, I'm not faster than the Heavenly Star Dragon Rock Race's people. I won't be able to get there in time. Imo Qingyun thought for a moment and came up with a plan. He took out some materials and said, with my speed, I'll need at most 5 days to set up a new teleportation formation. I should be able to reach the Tian Hun demons through the teleportation formation. I should be able to reach the Tian Hun demons first. Following that, Mo Qingyun set up a new transmission array as fast as he could. With the previous experience, Mo Qingyun set up the teleportation array again, and it was clearly much faster. 4 days later, under Mo Qingyun's tireless efforts, the transmission array was finally completed. It emitted a mysterious power. It's finally finished. I should be able to make it in time. Seeing that the teleportation array was completed, a faint smile appeared on Mo Qingyun's face. He stepped into the teleportation array. As Mo Qingyun walked into the transmission array, he activated the transmission array and went to the Heavenly Soul Devil race. When Mo Qingyun activated the transmission array, he also destroyed it to prevent it from being used again. The moment Mo Qingyun stepped into the transmission array, he had a feeling that he probably wouldn't come back. Looking at the current situation, it might be a better choice to rebuild the Fortune Immortal Palace in the Devil Wasteland domain. Chapter 24-25. Whoosh. A figure flashed by. Mo Qingyun had arrived at the Heavenly Soul Demon Clan and stepped out of the teleportation formation. When Mo Qingyun arrived at the Heavenly Soul Demon race, he immediately went to find Tian Song and the others to ask about the Heavenly Soul Demon race. After a while, Mo Qingyun found Tian Song and the others. He was relieved to see that they were fine. It seems that the Heavenly Dragon Rock clan has not arrived yet. Mo Qingyun was relieved to know that the Heavenly Dragon Rock clan had not arrived yet. The worry in his heart disappeared. Seeing that Mo Qingyun had arrived, Tian Song and the others were pleasantly surprised, and they surrounded him one after another. They didn't expect that Mo Qingyun would actually return in less than a month. Of course, they knew very well why Mo Qingyun had returned this time. If nothing unexpected happened, the Heavenly Constellation Dragon Rock race's people should be arriving soon. Mo Qingyun had returned to protect everyone. Qingyun, you rushed back to the Heavenly Soul Demon Clan. Has the Palace of Fortune's crisis been resolved? Tian Song frowned and asked Mo Qingyun about the Palace of Fortune situation. Mo Qingyun's expression was grave when he heard Tian Song's question. He shook his head and said, "The Palace of Fortune's mountain gate was destroyed when I was in seclusion to refine the spiritual puppet. I'm afraid the Palace of Fortune needs to be rebuilt." The Palace of Fortune's mountain gate was destroyed? Were the disciples injured? This group of vicious people did not even let the ordinary disciples go. If that's the case, won't the ordinary clansmen of my clan also suffer? When Tian Song and the others heard this news, their expressions turned grave. They felt a strong sense of worry. Seeing Tian Song and the others' expressions, Mo Qingyun waved his hand at them and comforted them. "Ancestors, forefathers, you don't have to worry too much. The disciples of the Immortal Palace of Fortune are all fine. I moved them all away before the Heavenly Dipper Dragon Rock tribe arrived." That's good, that's good. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the expressions of Tian Song and the others relaxed, and their moods relaxed a little. Everyone conversed with each other. And Chen frowned and became worried. He said, "Master, based on the current situation, it's probably a little too late to move the Heavenly Soul Demons away. What should we do next?" Tian Song and the others fell silent when they heard Chen's question. All of them revealed thoughtful expressions. This problem was indeed a bit of a headache. He had to deal with it properly. Otherwise, the Heavenly Soul Demons would be killed if they weren't careful. Under everyone's nervous gazes, Mo Qingyun said calmly, "You don't have to worry about that. When I arrived, I had already thought of a countermeasure." "Oh." Tian Song and the others rejoiced when they heard Mo Qingyun's reply. They looked at Mo Qingyun nervously and said, "Qingyun, what do you plan to do about this matter?" "We'll go and make arrangements immediately." Ancestor Tian Song, there's no need to make arrangements. Just wait for the people of the Celestial Constellation Dragon Rock to arrive. Mo Qingyun replied indifferently to Tian Song's request. Then he said the celestial constellation Dragon Rock also has juniors. If he dares to kill the heavenly soul demons, I'll go to the celestial constellation continent and slaughter all his juniors. I don't believe he won't hesitate. Tian Song and the others nodded when they heard Mo Qingyun's thoughts. They agreed with Mo Qingyun. Using this method to warn the people of the celestial constellation Dragon Rock was indeed the best and most effective method. The people of the celestial constellation Dragon Rock did not have complete confidence in killing Mo Qingyun, so they did not dare to touch the heavenly soul demons. After all, if Mo Qingyun was forced into a corner, the consequences would be too terrifying. After sharing his thoughts with everyone, Mo Qingyun hesitated for a moment before adding, "However, to ensure that nothing goes wrong, it's better to transfer some of the younger generation's geniuses to deal with any sudden changes." Mo Qingyun was a little worried that Shirbahai and the others would seek revenge at all costs. Therefore, it was better to make some preparations to leave a way out for himself. All right. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Tian Song immediately went to make arrangements, gathering some of the younger generation's geniuses. Subsequently, Mo Qingyun sent some of the younger generation's geniuses to the Fortune mainland. After everything was settled, Mo Qingyun waited patiently for the celestial constellation Dragon Rock clan's people to arrive. Roughly 5 days later, terrifying auras descended from the sky above the main branch, enveloping the entire main branch. Mo Qingyun, come out and accept your death. When these terrifying auras appeared, a cold and angry voice sounded from the sky. Hearing this voice, Mo Qingyun's figure flickered and appeared in the air above the main branch. Standing in the air above the main branch, Mo Qingyun saw a group of Galaxy Realm Masters standing not far from him. "You guys only arrived now. I've been waiting for you for a long time." Mo Qingyun glanced at Shirbahai and the others. He smiled faintly and said, "The space here is too small. If we fight, we won't be able to use our full strength. Let's go somewhere else." "Oomph, you're too naive. Why should we fight in another place?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Shi Xiao immediately sneered contemptuously and ridiculed Mo Qingyun. After ridiculing Mo Qingyun, Xiao Xiao continued, "Mo Qingyun, I advise you to surrender without a fight. Otherwise, we will slaughter your entire clan and make you a sinner of your race for all eternity." "Slaughter my clan? Are you sure you want to do this?" Mo Qingyun didn't find Shi Xiao's idea strange and sneered. "Don't forget, the Heavenly Dragon Rock clan has many more clansmen than the Heavenly Soul Demon clan. If I go to the Heavenly Star continent and slaughter the ordinary clansmen of the Heavenly Star Dragon Rock clan, the scene will be even more magnificent, right? You dare." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Shi Xiao's face immediately twitched and turned ashen. He hadn't expected that Mo Qingyun would have such an idea, which frightened him. Shi Xiao didn't dare to doubt Mo Qingyun's words. Mo Qingyun definitely had such strength. After understanding this, Shi Xiao felt a little regretful. He shouldn't have threatened Mo Qingyun with this. The rest of the Heavenly Soul Demon clan is nothing to worry about. We just need to deal with Mo Qingyun. Seeing Mo Qingyun's attitude, Shirbahai immediately ordered everyone to ignore the rest of the Heavenly Soul Demon clan. After warning Shi Xiao and the others, Shirbahai didn't want to delay and directly said to Mo Qingyun, "Mo Qingyun, I know of an uninhabited continent. Let's go there and fight to the death." After Shirbahai finished speaking, he turned around and led the way for Mo Qingyun. Chapter 24-26. And Chun continued to stay in the Heavenly Soul Demon clan to deal with any sudden changes. When he left with Shirbahai, Mo Qingyun left a backup plan behind. He didn't bring in Chun with him. He was worried that Shirbahai would order someone to stay behind after he left the Heavenly Soul Demon clan. Although he seemed to have intimidated Shirbahai on the surface, who could guarantee that nothing would happen? If Shirbahai acted one way and did another behind his back, Tian Song and the others would be in danger. After all, Tian Song and the others were not strong enough to fight against Shi Xiao and the others. Yes. After hearing Mo Qingyun's orders, and Chen's figure flashed, and he turned into a streak of black light and flew away. And Chen's appearance did not attract Shi Bahai's attention. Right now, he only wanted to deal with Mo Qingyun. When Mo Qingyun saw and Chun flying into the distance, he moved and chased after Shi Bahai. Seeing Mo Qingyun follow him, Shi Bahai snorted coldly and sped up. Looking at his actions, it seemed like he wanted to use this opportunity to test Mo Qingyun's strength. Mo Qingyun did not know what Shi Bahai was thinking. He followed behind at a moderate pace. In Mo Qingyun's opinion, Shi Bahai and the others sped up because they were in a hurry to deal with him. Then, the two parties sped towards the No Man's Continent. There was quite a distance between the No Man's Continent and the Wild Continent. They only arrived after 3 days of travel. When they arrived at the No Man's Continent, Shi Bahai and the others stopped and surrounded Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun, I admire your courage. You actually dared to come alone. Shi Bahai's eyes were filled with admiration as he looked at the surrounded Mo Qingyun. After praising him, his expression turned cold. If you hadn't opposed my clan, I really would have recruited a genius like you for my own use. It's a pity now. Mo Qingyun's expression was calm when he heard Shi Bahai's words. He glanced at everyone. Even if Shi Bahai wanted to recruit him, he would not agree. Cut the crap. If you want to fight, do it quickly. After looking at Shi Bahai and the others, Mo Qingyun impatiently urged Shi Bahai. Seeing Mo Qingyun's attitude, Shi Bahai's face darkened immediately. He shouted angrily, Mo Qingyun, since you were in a hurry to die, don't blame me. Attack! With Shi Bahai's cold shout, the Shi Xiao and the others no longer hesitated and immediately besieged Mo Qingyun. As Shi Xiao and the others attacked, a terrifying aura erupted from their bodies. 15 galaxy-grade elites. Although they are very powerful, they are not necessarily undefeatable. You might be able to defeat them, Mo Qingyun said with a tense expression as he watched Shi Bahai and the others approach. Then he exclaimed, if there were 15 late-stage galaxy-grade powerhouses, they might have been a threat to me. Unfortunately, there's only one perfected galaxy-grade powerhouse and 2 late-stage galaxy-grade powerhouses among you. Of the remaining 12 people, only 4 were at the mid-stage galaxy grade. The rest were at the early-stage galaxy grade. Given Mo Qingyun's current strength, ordinary early-stage and mid-stage galaxy-grade powerhouses could no longer pose a threat to him. Although Mo Qingyun said this, he did not act arrogantly. Instead, he immediately summoned his soul puppet. Suddenly, 8 galaxy-grade auras appeared around his body. Stop them. After summoning his 8 soul puppets, Mo Qingyun ordered them to deal with the powerhouses from the Big Dipper Dragon Rock tribe. At Mo Qingyun's command, the 8 soul puppets moved and started fighting with the Big Dipper Dragon Rock tribe. What? 8 galaxy-grade soul puppets? This kid actually has such a trump card. This is Elder Shiyang. He actually refined Elder Shiyang into a soul puppet. This vicious brat is going too far. The powerhouses from the Big Dipper Dragon Rock tribe were shocked and furious when they saw the 8 soul puppets appear. However, even though they were furious, they could not do anything to Mo Qingyun in the face of the 8 soul puppets' attacks. Door of Death. After summoning his 8 soul puppets, Mo Qingyun did not stop attacking. Instead, he immediately executed his origin mystic ability. Suddenly, a sinister and cold aura erupted from his palm. Seal him. Mo Qingyun waved his right arm, and a dark door of light shot out from his palm. After the dark door of light was blasted out, it expanded rapidly and became several meters tall in the blink of an eye. What Mo Qingyun was thinking now was to get rid of 1 or 2 of the opponents as quickly as possible. This way, the pressure on him would be greatly reduced and the situation would become more optimistic. What is this mystic ability? What a terrifying aura. Is this mystic ability really something that a nebula grade can execute? This kid is indeed strange. He can't be judged by common sense. Elder Shurya, Elder Shurdang, be careful. Looking at the approaching door of death, the powerhouses from the Big Dipper Dragon Rock tribe were horrified. Hearing the warning from the crowd, Shurya and Shurdang's expressions changed drastically. Their eyes were filled with fear. Under the looming aura of the door of death, they could feel a strong sense of impending doom. Black Raven Canopy. Seeing the door of death coming towards him, Shurya immediately executed his mystic ability and attacked the door of death. Under Shurya's attack, a terrifying and violent saint energy blasted out from his palms. Wah wah wah. The violent saint energy blasted out and turned into a black raven that charged towards the door of death. Under the cover of the black crows, the light became dim, as if day and night had changed. Saint Whirlwind Space Slash. When Shurya attacked, Shurdang did not hesitate and executed a mystic ability of his own. Shurdang took a step back with his right foot and his body bent into the shape of a bow. He clasped his palms together and a terrifying saint energy gathered in his palms. Immediately after, a crescent-shaped palm shadow that was dozens of meters in diameter blasted out from Shurdang's palms. Swoosh! When the crescent-shaped palm shadow approached the door of death, it suddenly flashed and directly passed through the door of death. After the crescent-shaped palm shadow passed through the door of death, it rapidly flashed a few more times and arrived above Mo Qingyun's head. What a powerful move! An advanced galaxy-grade powerhouse should not be underestimated. Seeing Shurdang's attack, Mo Qingyun's expression changed slightly, and he stopped underestimating Shurdang. Although he had the help of the 8 great spiritual puppets and could compete with the Big Dipper Dragon Rock tribe, he could not afford to be careless. Otherwise, if he was not careful, he could very well die here. Chapter 24-27. Fire of Civilization, Demonic Star, Splitting Palm. As Mo Qingyun waved his hand, a flame power that could incinerate the heavens and destroy the earth gathered in his palm. Then, a 100-meter-long flaming palm blasted out from his palm. Boom! The flaming palm blasted out and collided with the half-moon palm, causing an earth-shattering explosion. After this sound was heard, the half-moon palm image dissipated and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Shirbahai and the others were stunned when they saw this scene. They couldn't believe that this was real. How can this kid be so strong? Elder Shi Xiao is a late-stage galaxy-grade powerhouse, yet his full-powered palm was blocked. Fortunately, this kid's current cultivation is only at the nebula grade. While Shirbahai and the others were shocked by Mo Qingyun's performance, they also felt a sense of relief. In their opinion, if Mo Qingyun had been at the galaxy grade, they would have all died today. Boom! While Shirbahai and the others were still in shock, the death's door fell overbearingly. When the death's door fell, Shi Xiao and Shurya were also shrouded and imprisoned. As the 2 stone puppets were imprisoned, their skin began to turn pale and their auras weakened at an extremely fast rate. Shurya, who was weaker, quickly began to dissipate under the bombardment of the death's door. Seeing this scene, the hearts of Shi Xiao and the others trembled, and their eyes filled with shock. They weren't much stronger than Shurya. If they had been bombarded by the death's door, they wouldn't have ended up much better. Unexpectedly, they had underestimated Mo Qingyun even though they had overestimated him. When overbearing mystic ability, this kid is much more difficult to deal with than I thought. Shirbahai's eyelids twitched when he saw Shurya's appearance. The shock in his heart intensified as he thought to himself, no wonder he dared to fight alone. It turns out that he actually has such strength. I definitely can't let him escape today. After witnessing Mo Qingyun's strength, Shirbahai didn't dare watch any longer. He immediately rushed towards Mo Qingyun. He knew very well that if he continued to stand by and do nothing, their losses would be disastrous. You guys deal with the soul puppet. I'll deal with this brat myself. As Shirbahai charged towards Mo Qingyun, he didn't forget to instruct everyone, his tone filled with indifference. It could be heard that Shirbahai was in a very bad mood. He had completely angered Mo Qingyun. Every galaxy-grade powerhouse was a huge fortune for the Big Dipper Dragon Rock tribe. Thanks to Mo Qingyun, several galaxy-grade martialists had already fallen. This wasn't something the Big Dipper Dragon Rock tribe could bear. Mad Dragon Tyrannical Fist. While Shirbahai was flying towards Mo Qingyun, his fists were moving at an extremely fast speed, blasting out an imposing fist shadow. When this fist shadow was blasted out, it was mixed with the sound of waves, as ferocious as the waves breaking through the sky. Holy Glory Theurgy Ignite. Dragon Source Tyrant Body. Nebulous Saint Cloth. In the face of Shirbahai's attack, Mo Qingyun didn't dare be careless. Thus, he immediately executed various mystic abilities. As Mo Qingyun executed his mystic abilities, Luo Yunyang also frantically brandished his fists to meet the fist shadows. Bang, bang, bang. As Mo Qingyun frantically met the fist shadows, each fist shadow was blocked by him, causing terrifying sounds to erupt. As he blocked the fist shadows one by one, wave after wave of terrifying power struck Mo Qingyun's fists. When this power landed on Mo Qingyun's fists, it passed through his arms and into his body, causing Mo Qingyun's qi and blood to churn. Fortunately, Mo Qingyun had the purple nebulous saint cloth, which helped him block a portion of the power and counterattack Shirbahai. How powerful! He is indeed a perfected galaxy-grade martialist. During this short exchange with Shirbahai, Mo Qingyun had suffered a slight loss and looked a little shocked. Fortunately, there was only one perfected galaxy-grade martialist among the Big Dipper Dragon Rock tribe. Otherwise, he would have had to flee with his tail between his legs. Cough, cough. Shirbahai, who was caught off guard, suffered the impact of the counterforce, which also caused his qi and blood to churn. After suppressing the churning of the qi and blood in his body, Shirbahai's eyes widened as he stared at Mo Qingyun in shock. Nebulous Saint Cloth. You actually awakened the Nebulous Saint Cloth. Your talent is really amazing. Upon hearing Shirbahai's words, Shir Xiao and the others, who were fighting the spiritual puppet, were all shocked. Mo Qingyun's performance had really shocked them and made it difficult for them to calm down. They realized that during this short exchange with Mo Qingyun had given them too many surprises. This kid didn't seem to use any sacred power when he received my mystic ability. Recalling Mo Qingyun's performance, the shock in Shirbahai's heart immediately became more intense. Mo Qingyun could withstand his mystic ability without using any sacred power. If he used his sacred power, it would be even more impressive. Fortunately, I found the wild continent in time. The more Shirbahai thought about it, the more shocked and scared he became. His expression also became more and more serious. Suppressing the shock in his heart, Shirbahai's figure flashed as he charged toward Mo Qingyun. Big Dipper, Rock Dragon Tyrant Body. After witnessing Mo Qingyun's strength, Shirbahai no longer held back his strength when he attacked again. As Shirbahai activated his internal power, a brownish-gray light formed outside his body. This was him activating his bloodline power and activating the physique of the Big Dipper Dragon Rock tribe to increase his defensive power. Activating your bloodline power? Seeing Shirbahai's performance, Mo Qingyun smiled contemptuously and his eyes revealed a mocking look. Immediately, Mo Qingyun no longer held back and immediately activated his bloodline power. Then, a terrifying bloodline power exploded from Mo Qingyun's body and pressed down on Shirbahai and the others. Puff! Under Mo Qingyun's bloodline power, Shirbahai and the others' blood was blocked, and they could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Immediately, their faces were filled with shock, and they stared blankly at Mo Qingyun. They realized that under Mo Qingyun's bloodline power, their blood flow had stopped. It was obvious that Mo Qingyun's bloodline power was much stronger than theirs. How is this possible? He's only from a low-level continent. How can he have such a powerful bloodline? Sensing Mo Qingyun's powerful bloodline, Shir Bahai could no longer remain calm, and fear rose in his heart. At this moment, he could not help but doubt. Were they really here to take revenge on Mo Qingyun? Why did he have a feeling that he and the others had come to look for Mo Qingyun as if they were here to die? Who are you? Realizing that something was wrong with Mo Qingyun, Shir Bahai looked at Mo Qingyun with fear and nervousness. He looked at Mo Qingyun nervously. Seeing Shir Bahai's reaction, Mo Qingyun guessed his thoughts and said with a smile, "Don't worry, I don't have a powerful background. You can attack me without worry." Chapter 24-28. Boy, you've gone too far. Seeing Mo Qingyun taking the initiative to attack him, Shir Bahai was so angry that his face turned green as he let out a furious roar. Then, Shir Bahai no longer hesitated and immediately went to meet Mo Qingyun. As soon as the two of them met, they began to fight crazily, clashing again and again. Bang, bang, bang. As Mo Qingyun and Shir Bahai fought, a terrifying storm of saint energy formed outside their bodies. As soon as the storm of saint energy was formed, it swept out in all directions, causing the surrounding people to retreat. What kind of freak is this boy? He's only at the Nebula realm, but he can go head-to-head with the clan leader. Don't worry, he's only at the Nebula realm. He won't be able to hold on for long. You're wrong. The situation is very unfavorable for the clan leader. If the battle drags on, the clan leader may be defeated. That's right. That boy's Nebulous Saint Cloth can counterattack. The clan leader can only take this kind of damage head-on. If this goes on, the clan leader will be in trouble. Let's quickly kill the soul puppet and help the clan leader later. After understanding Shir Bahai's situation, the powerhouses of the Celestial Dragon Ra clan were immediately worried. While the Celestial Dragon Ra clan were worried, Shir Bahai, who was fighting with Mo Qingyun, sneered proudly and said, "Boy, I admit that you're very strong, far beyond my expectations. However, with your Nebula Realm strength, how long can you last in such an intense battle? How long do you think I can last?" In response to Shir Bahai's question, Mo Qingyun's face was calm as he asked him a question. Hearing Mo Qingyun's question, Shir Bahai pondered for a moment before a faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He said, "If I'm not wrong, you'll run out of saint energy in a quarter of an hour at most. You'll be at my mercy." Mo Qingyun nodded in agreement with Shir Bahai's analysis. If it was an ordinary Nebula Realm person engaged in such an intense battle, the situation would indeed be like this. However, his situation was different from others. Apart from having 20,000 Saint Power Star clusters, he also had the Nebulous Saint Robe that could recover his spiritual power. In this way, the duration of the battle would be infinitely prolonged. If it was an ordinary Nebula Realm cultivator, it would indeed be as you said. However, I am different from them. Mo Qingyun smiled and responded to Shir Bahai. Then, he activated the Blue Nebulous Saint Garment. The Blue Nebulous Saint Robe was activated. It absorbed the power of Mo Qingyun's supernatural power to replenish the saint power that he had consumed. Two Nebulous Saint Robes. Seeing the Blue Nebulous Saint Cloth being used, Shir Bahai's face immediately twitched and his eyes widened. The appearance of a Nebulous Saint Garment had already given him quite a scare. What he found unbelievable was that Mo Qingyun actually possessed two Nebulous Saint Garments. This was a little shocking. However, before he could ease the shock in his heart, his expression became even more shocked. He discovered that the Blue Nebulous Saint Robe could actually absorb the power of his supernatural power to replenish the saint power that Mo Qingyun had consumed. In this way, it was unrealistic for him to slowly torture Mo Qingyun to death by consuming his saint power. This damn brat, he actually has such a trump card. Seeing the current situation, Shir Bahai's face was as gloomy as ink, and he immediately gritted his teeth in anger. What gave Shir Bahai an even more headache was that Shir Dang and the others seemed to be unable to hold on under the attack of the soul puppet. This can't go on. We might die in this brat's hands. Shir Bahai glanced at the situation. His heart became even heavier as he realized that he was in a bad situation. After realizing this, Shurbahai's mind began to turn as he thought about what to do next. Looking at the current situation, I can't kill this brat today. There's not much point in continuing to fight. Shurbahai thought for a moment and immediately made a decision. He was not willing to continue fighting. In his opinion, since he knew Mo Qingyun's origin, it would not be too late to deal with him in the future. Everyone retreat. When Shurbahai thought of this, he no longer hesitated and immediately gave the order to everyone. Hearing Shurbahai's order, Shur Dang and the others immediately retreated from the battle. Their expressions were much more relaxed. If Shurbahai did not give the order to retreat, they would not be able to hold on if the battle continued for a while. Retreat. Mo Qingyun smiled when he saw the actions of Shurbahai and the others. A mischievous smile appeared on his face as he said, "You want to flee because you can't beat me? It's not that easy. All of you stay here." As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he waved his arm and continued to chase with the 7 soul puppets. In Mo Qingyun's opinion, for the safety of the Heavenly Soul Demon tribe, he definitely could not let Shurbahai and the others go. Seeing Mo Qingyun chasing after them, Shurbahai and the others' expressions trembled, and they all became serious. Immediately, the speed of Shurbahai and the others' escape increased by a lot. Following that, Mo Qingyun, Shurbahai, and the others formed a situation of one chasing and one fleeing. A group of galaxy-grade elites being chased by a Nebula Realm Jr. This scene was very strange and ironic. Although Shurbahai and the others were running for their lives, they were still very strong after all. Furthermore, they were determined to escape. Therefore, it was still very difficult for Mo Qingyun to kill them. After chasing them for nearly 10 days, Mo Qingyun only killed 3 people. Furthermore, they were all early-stage galaxy-grade elites. They're indeed galaxy-grade elites. It is indeed difficult to deal with them when they are running for their lives. Mo Qingyun frowned as he continued to chase after them. His mood became a little heavy. If this continued, it would become more and more difficult for him to chase after Shurbahai and the others. This was because if he continued to chase after them, he would enter an unfamiliar environment. This made him feel a little uneasy. If they ran into a 2-star realm and he chased after them so brazenly, it might cause an unforeseen event. He did not want to see that kind of situation. Just like that, Mo Qingyun arrived at a continent under Mo Qingyun's pursuit. After asking around, Mo Qingyun found out that this was the Big Dipper continent, the lair of Shurbahai and the others. Mo Qingyun relaxed a little when he found out that he had arrived at the Big Dipper continent. However, he did not let his guard down. A dragon crossing the river might seem very awe-inspiring, but there were also many risks involved. He could not guarantee that Shurbahai and the others did not have powerful trump cards on the Big Dipper continent. Mo Qingyun's forceful actions attracted the attention of many people on the Big Dipper continent. They all gathered around him. When these people gathered around him, they started to point and whisper in astonishment. Chapter 24-29. Who is that young man? He's so powerful. I'm not sure. He should be a 2-star system prodigy. Only such a prodigy would have such power. The heavenly constellation dragon rock tribe is unlucky to have offended such an existence. They've always been tyrannical. Now, they're finally getting their just desserts. Seeing the fate of the heavenly constellation dragon rock tribe, some of the tribes that were under his control were gloating. In their hearts, they wished that the heavenly constellation dragon rock tribe would be destroyed so that they could be free. Under everyone's gaze, Mo Qingyun frowned as he stood in the sky above the heavenly constellation dragon rock tribe's headquarters. He discovered that there was a powerful defensive formation in the heavenly constellation dragon rock tribe's headquarters. With my current attainments and formations, it's impossible for me to break through this defensive formation. After observing the defensive array formation for a while, Mo Qingyun had an answer. He couldn't break this array formation. He sighed inwardly. If that's the case, it seems impossible to kill Shurbahai and the others. Although Mo Qingyun was a little helpless about this outcome, he had to accept it. The heavenly constellation Dragon Rock Tribe's foundation was indeed not something that the heavenly soul demon tribe could compare to. Since I can't kill them, there's no point in staying. Mo Qingyun thought for a moment before he made a decision. He was not willing to stay any longer. This was the heavenly constellation Dragon Rock Tribe's territory. If he continued to stay here, there might be unforeseen circumstances. Therefore, it was better for him to leave as soon as possible and think of a way to deal with the heavenly constellation Dragon Rock Tribe. Of course, Mo Qingyun decided to leave because he had other thoughts. He thought to himself, the wasteland continent structure is too small. It's very restrictive. Looks like I have to leave the wasteland continent as soon as possible and explore a higher plane. Following this, Mo Qingyun rushed back to the wasteland continent with this thought in mind. About 20 days later, Mo Qingyun rushed back to the heavenly soul demon tribe at full speed. He found Tian Song and the rest who were nervous. Seeing that Mo Qingyun had returned, Tian Song and the others were overjoyed and went to greet him excitedly. Mo Qingyun did not say much in response to Tian Song and the others' greetings. He directly walked into the conference hall. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Tian Song and the others immediately understood that Mo Qingyun had something to tell them. After a short while, the meeting hall was filled with people, all of them looking nervously at Mo Qingyun. Qingyun, what was the result of your fight with the heavenly constellation Dragonstone clan? Seeing that everyone was seated, Tian Song broke the silence and asked Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun's face sank when he heard Tian Song's question. He shook his head at him and said, although I managed to repel Shirbahai and the others, I was unable to kill them. I only managed to chase them back to the Tianxing continent. The expressions of Tian Song and the others sank when they heard this. They all fell silent. If Shirbahai and the others did not die, the threat of the heavenly constellation Dragonstone clan would still exist. In this way, they could not guarantee when the heavenly constellation Dragonstone clan would make a comeback. Everyone, don't worry. The heavenly constellation Dragonstone clan suffered a great loss this time. They should not come back for a while. Mo Qingyun spread his hands and said some words of comfort when he saw Tian Song and the others' heavy expressions. This time, Shirbahai and the others had suffered a great loss at the hands of Mo Qingyun. Before they were fully confident, they would not dare to offend Mo Qingyun again. Therefore, all in all, Mo Qingyun's actions this time had a certain deterrent effect. Since the threat of the heavenly constellation Dragonstone clan has been temporarily alleviated, what do you plan to do next? After understanding the situation of the heavenly constellation Dragonstone clan, Tian Song changed the topic and asked about Mo Qingyun's future plans. Mo Qingyun frowned slightly when he heard Tian Song's words. He immediately started to ponder. Originally, he had wanted to bid farewell to Tian Song. However, he recalled that there was still something he had to do. I have to go to a secret place immediately. When I return, I should be leaving the wasteland continent. Mo Qingyun thought for a moment before he briefly explained his thoughts to Tian Song. Tian Song and the other sighed when they heard Mo Qingyun's words. They did not say anything else. They had already been mentally prepared for Mo Qingyun's departure from the wasteland continent. However, this was too soon. Ancestor Tian Song, this is a late-stage galaxy spiritual puppet. I will leave it with the Sky Soul Demon race. After expressing his thoughts to Tian Song, Mo Qingyun waved his arm and took out the stone goat's spiritual puppet. I think that there shouldn't be much of a problem with this spiritual puppet guarding the Sky Soul Demon race. A late-stage galaxy spiritual puppet. Tian Song and the others widened their eyes when they heard Mo Qingyun's words. They stared at the stone goat's spiritual puppet in shock. After taking out the stone goat's spiritual puppet, Mo Qingyun gave some instructions before he left the Sky Soul Demon race. Chun, you're in charge of the journey. After leaving the Sky Soul Demon race, Mo Qingyun brought Chun along and ordered someone to control the flying ship. Previously, Mo Qingyun had only explored a small part of the Dark Spirit Abyss because of his limited cultivation. This time, he wanted to explore it properly before he left the wasteland continent. Yes, Enshin immediately responded when he heard Mo Qingyun's instructions. He controlled the flying ship and headed towards the dark spirit abyss. After handing the flying ship to Enshin, Mo Qingyun's figure flashed, and he arrived at the Fortune Continent. After Mo Qingyun entered the Fortune Continent, he headed towards the Fortune Immortal Palace to give instructions to the Fortune Immortal Palace and the others. What a powerful aura fluctuation. Someone is about to break through to the nebula realm. Who could it be? As soon as Mo Qingyun entered the Fortune Continent, he immediately felt a powerful aura fluctuation. After discovering this, Mo Qingyun's figure flashed, and he rushed towards the source of the aura fluctuation. Mo Qingyun's figure flickered a few times, and he arrived at the Fortune Immortal Palace, where he found the source of the aura fluctuation. Zishu is about to break through to the nebula realm. Knowing that the person who was about to break through was Wang Zishu, Mo Qingyun's face was filled with shock. While Mo Qingyun was still in shock, a sharp light flashed in his eyes, and he had a clear plan. He said inwardly, "I promised Zishu that I would accompany her to the Divine Wood Continent. It seems that after the matter at the Dark Spirit Abyss is over, I should accompany her on her journey." With this thought in mind, Mo Qingyun did not stay any longer and left Wang Zishu's courtyard. Calculating the time, he had come out from the Dark Spirit Abyss, and Wang Zishu should have consolidated her cultivation. At that time, they would set off together, and the timing would coincide. After leaving Wang Zishu's residence, Mo Qingyun returned to his residence and immediately immersed himself in cultivation. During this trip to the Heavenly Dipper continent, he clearly discovered that he had many shortcomings. Chapter 2430. In the main hall of the Big Dipper Dragon Rock race, Mo Qingyun's strength has actually reached this level. This is really beyond my expectations. Given our current strength, I'm afraid it will be very difficult to deal with him. What should we do? Although we can use the power of the Great Protective Array to hold him back for a while, this is ultimately not a long-term solution. Patriarch, what should we do next? We can't just sit and wait for death. Although Mo Qingyun had retreated, Shur Bahai and the others did not relax because of this. Now, Mo Qingyun was like a nightmare to them. They would not be able to eat or sleep in peace if they did not get rid of him. Shur Bahai frowned when he heard the words of the people around him. He hesitated for a moment before saying, "After the previous battle, I have to admit that I have indeed underestimated Mo Qingyun. They're no longer able to deal with him." Shur Xiao and the others fell silent. Shur Bahai's words made them feel extremely depressed. In a short span of a few months, the guy who was like an ant in their eyes had actually made them feel helpless. If they had not experienced this personally, they would have found it hard to believe. While everyone was silent, Shur Bahai stood up and said with a ruthless expression, "I have decided to make a trip to the Wood Source Galaxy and to ask Senior Mu Tianheng to help. As long as Senior Mu Tianheng is willing to help, Mo Qingyun will definitely die." Shur Xiao and the others were delighted when they heard Shur Bahai's words. Their eyes were filled with anticipation. Senior Mu Tianheng is the young lord's master. As long as the young lord asks, there should be a 70% to 80% chance of success. There is no need for Senior Mu Tianheng to act personally. As long as he sends a few disciples, Mo Qingyun will not be able to escape this calamity. That's right. His disciples have a strong foundation. Even though they are only at the galaxy grade, their combat strength is comparable to a celestial domain grade powerhouse. Humph! Mo Qingyun must have never thought that we would have such a backup plan. Hearing Shur Bahai's idea, Shur Xiao and the others all showed joyful expressions and excitedly said one sentence after another. While everyone was talking at once, Shur Bahai's expression did not change. He turned his head to look at the person next to him and said, "Elder Shurhi, I am going to the Divine Wood Clan in the Wood Source Galaxy immediately." No matter what happens in the clan during my absence, wait for my return before we talk about it. Yes, Patriarch. Sure, he nodded solemnly at Shur Bahai's instructions with a solemn expression. After Shur Bahai gave some instructions, he did not waste any more time and immediately set off for the Wood Origin Galaxy. Mo Qingyun had no idea about Shur Bahai's actions. Right now, he was heading to the Dark Mainland. If he were to find out that the Heavenly Dipper Dragon Rock clan and the Divine Wood clan had some sort of connection, he would definitely be shocked. Presumably, he would be greatly shocked, and his killing intent towards the Heavenly Star Dragon Stone race would become even stronger. He wanted to head to the Wood Source Galaxy and the Divine Wood Continent to avenge Wang Zishu's father's death. He would definitely clash with the Divine Wood race. However, the Heavenly Dipper Dragon Rock clan had colluded with them. Without a doubt, they were the Divine Wood race's helpers. This made them even more unforgivable. Mo Qingyun immersed himself in cultivation. He took out a large number of medicinal crystals and refined them to increase his strength. Dark Cloud Heavenly Gate. After taking out the medicinal crystals, Mo Qingyun used his superpower to refine them. Under the refining of the Dark Swallowing Heavenly Gate, waves of pure, medicinal spiritual energy were extracted from the medicinal crystals. The extracted medicinal spiritual energy was sucked into the Dark Swallowing Heavenly Gate and transformed into a pure energy. After the transformation was complete, the energy was transferred into Mo Qingyun's body for Mo Qingyun to refine and increase his strength. Sensing the energy in his body, Mo Qingyun did not think too much about it and immediately began to refine it in a frenzy. Under Mo Qingyun's continuous refinement, the saint energy in his body increased bit by bit. The increase was so slow that it was almost imperceptible. Although it was very slow, Mo Qingyun did not stop and cultivated at a steady pace. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. There are no more medicinal crystals. At this moment, Mo Qingyun's face was filled with shock as he withdrew from his cultivation. This discovery really shocked him quite a bit. He had never thought of it. In just half a month, the 100 million medicinal crystals he had were used up just like that. Looking at the white powder piled up like a mountain, Mo Qingyun's expression immediately became serious. He sighed. My cultivation level has broken through to the cosmic cloud state. Using medicinal crystals to increase my cultivation level is really too terrifying. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun knew that this cultivation method was not going to work. At this rate, even if he used up all the cultivation resources on the wild continent, he probably would not be able to reach the galaxy state. It seems that after exploring the Dark Spirit Abyss, I have to leave immediately. Seeing his cultivation situation, Mo Qingyun's desire to leave became even stronger. When Mo Qingyun made up his mind, and Shen's soul transmission appeared in his mind. Master, we've arrived at the Dark Spirit Abyss. We're here. Hearing in Chen's soul transmission, Mo Qingyun's eyes lit up, and he stopped thinking about cultivation. Once he left the wasteland continent, everything would naturally be resolved. The wild continent was not even a one-star realm. It was normal for it to be poor in cultivation resources. Once he went to the advanced second side, the problem of cultivation resources would not exist. Now, the most important thing for him was to explore the Dark Spirit Abyss and strive for more benefits. With this thought, Mo Qingyun moved and came to Shen's side. Let's go. Mo Qingyun waved his hand and put away the flying ship. He flew into the Dark Spirit Abyss. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Shen did not think too much and immediately followed behind Mo Qingyun. With the previous experience, when Mo Qingyun came to the Dark Spirit Realm Abyss again, it clearly became a walk in the park. With Mo Qingyun running, they quickly passed through the poisonous fog area and arrived in the Blackwood Forest. Last time, I obtained the blood crystal here. This time, I have to properly search. After arriving in the Blackwood Forest, Mo Qingyun activated his bloodline power and sensed the hidden blood crystals. The appearance of Mo Qingyun and Enchun immediately attracted the attention of the red-shelled demonic insects. They surrounded the two of them. You again! Due to Mo Qingyun snatching away the blood crystal, the red-shelled demonic insects had an extremely deep impression of him. The leader of the red-shelled demonic insects just happened to participate in the battle last time. Thus, it immediately recognized Mo Qingyun. After recognizing Mo Qingyun, the red-shelled demonic insects attacked and surrounded Mo Qingyun. Demonic insects are indeed demonic insects. Their intelligence is indeed too low. Seeing the red-shelled demonic insects surrounding them, Mo Qingyun faintly smiled and a mocking expression appeared in his eyes. Chapter 24:31. Let's take care of these troubles first, Mo Qingyun said as he looked at the incoming red-shelled demonic insects. He then charged towards the red-shelled demonic insects. Hearing Mo Qingyun's order, Enchun immediately followed and killed the red-shelled demonic insects together. The moment Mo Qingyun and Enchun attacked, they displayed a terrifying battle. In the blink of an eye, they killed a swarm of red-shelled demonic insects. Seeing Mo Qingyun and Enchun's strength, the red-shelled demonic insects were immediately frightened and did not dare to attack Mo Qingyun and Enchun again. Retreat! Retreat! Seeing Mo Qingyun and Enchun's strength, the red-shelled demonic insect commander immediately ordered it to retreat from this place. Looking at the escaping red-shelled demonic insects, Mo Qingyun was not in a hurry to kill them. Instead, he followed behind unhurriedly and said with a smile, "The intelligence of these demonic insects is far inferior to humans." The reason why Mo Qingyun did not kill them was not because he was kind, but because he wanted to find the nest of the demonic insects. In his opinion, once he found the nest of the demonic insects, he could directly wipe them out. Otherwise, when he was looking for the blood crystals, some demonic insects would bother him again and waste his time. The red-shelled demonic insects naturally did not know what Mo Qingyun was thinking. They desperately fled back to the nest. About 2 hours later, under the pursuit of Mo Qingyun and Enchun, the red-shelled demonic insects returned to their nest and immediately organized to resist the enemy. Not long after, the red-shelled demonic insects confronted Mo Qingyun and Enchun as if they were facing a great enemy. Since we found the nest, let's not waste time. Let's kill. Looking at the red-shelled demonic insects in front of him, Mo Qingyun did not say any nonsense and directly charged towards the red-shelled demonic insect's nest. As soon as Mo Qingyun attacked, he did not hold back at all and immediately used all kinds of divine abilities. Holy Glory Divine Ability, Ignite. Dragon Source, Overlord Body. Nebulous Saint Cloth. Fire of Civilization, Demonic Star, Splitting Palm. Mo Qingyun executed all kinds of powerful moves in an instant. While Mo Qingyun was using all kinds of divine abilities, Enchun didn't hold back either. He attacked the red-shelled demonic insects with all his strength and shouted, "You bunch of detestable bugs! Have you ever thought that you would end up like this one day?" Enchun clearly remembered that he had been attacked by the red-shelled demonic insects when he was living inside the blood crystal. Back then, if Mo Qingyun hadn't appeared and taken him away, he wouldn't have been able to escape. Under the attack of the red demonic insect, he had most likely vanished into thin air. He would never forget this grudge. Among these red armored demon insects, the strongest one was only at the mid-stage galaxy grade. With their current strength, they naturally did not have the slightest bit of resistance when faced with Mo Qingyun's attack. "Human, we surrender. Please let us go. You are free to move about here. We will not interfere with you." As Mo Qingyun and Enchun attacked, more and more red armored demon insects died. The leader of the red armored demon insects admitted defeat. It knew very well that they would all be killed if they continued to fight, given the huge disparity in strength. Upon hearing the surrender of the red armored demon insects, Mo Qingyun stopped attacking and smiled faintly. At that moment, Mo Qingyun had a pretty good idea. He muttered to himself, "These red-shelled, demonic insects aren't weak. If we use them to protect the Sky Soul demon race, it would be a pretty good idea." As soon as this idea came to mind, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and said, "I can spare you, but you have to submit to me. Otherwise, how can we be sure that you won't do anything to me in the future?" Upon hearing Mo Qingyun's request, the red armor demon insects started to discuss and weigh the pros and cons of doing so. A moment later, after a discussion between the red-shelled demonic insects, they agreed to submit to Mo Qingyun. "Shinyo, Shanhu, do you have any more blood crystals in your nest?" After subduing the red armored demon insects, Mo Qingyun used a commanding tone to question the leader of the red armored demon insects. Upon hearing Mo Qingyun's question, Shinyo hesitated for a moment and said reluctantly, "Master, we only have a little of the stone you mentioned. I'll go get it for you now." "Okay." Shinyo's answer made Mo Qingyun happy. He could not help but feel some anticipation. Based on Shinyo's tone, there seemed to be many blood crystals in their nest. After a while, Shinyo brought dozens of blood crystals to Mo Qingyun. 37. Seeing the blood crystals that Shinyo brought over, Mo Qingyun's eyes immediately widened. This really frightened him. Although the size and purity of these blood crystals were not as good as the one that Enchantment possessed, Shinyo had the advantage. However, the blood crystals that Shinyo brought had the advantage of quantity. There were a total of 37 of them. After refining these blood crystals, I might be able to improve my cultivation. As Mo Qingyun thought to himself, he also put away the blood crystals and felt a strong sense of anticipation. Although he felt a strong sense of anticipation, Mo Qingyun was not in a hurry to cultivate. Instead, he continued to search for blood crystals. After leaving the wasteland continent, he could devote himself to cultivation. Currently, the most important thing was to explore the secret realm. He could not guarantee that this place would remain after he left the wasteland continent. Therefore, before he left, it was the best choice to collect all the treasures in the Dark Spirit Abyss. Next, Mo Qingyun and Shinyo searched and found some more blood crystals. However, the size and purity of these blood crystals were about the same as the one that Shinyo took out. They were far inferior to the one that Enchantment possessed. Although Mo Qingyun felt helpless about this, he did not care too much. It was good to have this harvest. Several days later, Mo Qingyun stopped his search and headed to the corpse's abdomen to see if there were any new discoveries. After several days of searching, the aura of the blood in the Blackwood Forest had clearly weakened a lot. Thus, even if there were blood crystals, they would definitely be very few. Mo Qingyun felt that wasting a large amount of time for these blood crystals was not worth it. More importantly, if he headed to the corpse's abdomen, the red-shelled demonic insects could continue searching. Mo Qingyun and Shinyo flew for a while. Then, they saw an enormous ravine. There were enormous white mountain peaks inside. There was no need to guess. This enormous ravine should be an enormous wound. As for the white mountain peaks, they should be ribs. It would appear that we've reached the corpse's abdomen. Let's go down and have a look. After discovering that they had reached the corpse's abdomen, Mo Qingyun did not continue forward. Instead, he flew directly into the corpse's abdomen. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Enchantment did not hesitate in the slightest and also flew into the ravine. After entering the gully, Mo Qingyun immediately felt a powerful aura pressing down on him. Chapter 2432. While Mo Qingyun was on his guard, numerous dragon-like silhouettes swam towards them rapidly. Upon seeing these dragon-like silhouettes, Mo Qingyun's expression stiffened and he immediately put up his guard. These dark red blood flood dragons were very powerful. They were all at least at the mid-stage galaxy grade. Some of the strongest ones were even at the late-stage galaxy grade. Most importantly, there were too many of them. There were hundreds of them. Such a force was much stronger than Shirbahai and the others. Retreat. Mo Qingyun believed that he wouldn't be able to take down these blood flood dragons given his current combat strength. After understanding the disparity between the two sides, Qingyun immediately turned around and fled without hesitation. He thought to himself that he would retreat from the ravine first and then slowly kill these gore-fiend dragons. Since you're already here, don't leave. Just as Qingyun and Luo Yunyang were about to leave, a cold voice was heard from behind the group of blood flood dragons. Immediately after, a tall and sturdy blood-red figure appeared in Qingyun's line of sight. There is actually someone here. Qingyun and Luo Yunyang exchanged glances as they watched the blood-colored figure slowly walk over. Their eyes were filled with shock. The fact that the other party could walk around freely amidst so many blood flood dragons showed how terrifying his strength was. After making this discovery, Qingyun released his spirit power to sense the other party's cultivation base. Initial celestial domain grade. When he sensed the other party's cultivation base, the shock in Qingyun's heart immediately intensified. Even if he used all his trump cards, he wouldn't have a 10% chance of winning against such a terrifying existence. Furthermore, based on the situation before him, it seemed like these blood flood dragons were being controlled by him. After making this discovery, Qingyun's intention to retreat became even stronger. Upon seeing Qingyun's actions, the blood-colored figure smirked and said proudly, "Kid, you really surprised me. You actually awakened the bloodline of the Dark Sky Sacred Sect by merely refining a piece of blood crystal. That's good too. After I devour him, I can take over your body and be reborn. You, just like those remnant wills from before, obediently let me fuse with you." After the blood shadow remnant consciousness spoke, he moved and extended his palm towards Enchun. Facing the attack of the blood shadow remnant thought, Enchun was immediately frightened. His eyes were filled with shock. He really did not expect that there would be such a powerful remnant will in the body of this giant corpse. Enchun has entered the Soul Palace. Seeing blood shadow remnant thought's actions, Qingyun's expression was shocked. He immediately put Dark Dawn into the Soul Palace. Upon hearing Qingyun's order, Enchun's figure flashed and entered Qingyun's body. After taking Dark Dawn into the Soul Palace, Qingyun didn't hesitate at all. He immediately turned around and fled out of the ravine. Interesting. A little mouse running for his life. I'll play with you. Looking at Qingyun running for his life, the blood shadow remnant thought grinned and ordered the surrounding Gorfiend dragons. Under the command of the blood shadow remnant thought, the Gorfiend dragons immediately moved and chased after Qingyun. After giving the order to the Gorfiend dragons, the blood shadow remnant thought moved and jumped on the head of a Gorfiend dragon. I didn't expect that there would be a second remnant will in the giant corpse's body. Looking at the blood shadow remnant thought that was chasing after him, Qingyun jumped up and realized that something was wrong. He said, "The memories of this remnant will are much stronger than Enchun's. If he devours Enchun, it will be equivalent to a member of the Dark Heaven Holy Gate being reborn." Thinking of the power of the profound Heaven Holy Gate's remnant will, Qingyun felt a lingering fear. It was definitely not something he could contend against. More importantly, the blood shadow remnant thought behind him could cultivate and increase his strength. I must not let him take over Enchun's body. Otherwise, I will be in even more danger. Qingyun knew very well what he was thinking. Right now, he and Enchun were tools for the blood shadow remnant will to take over and be reborn. While Qingyun was escaping, he was also thinking about how to stop the blood shadow remnant thought. Soon, Qingyun arrived at the Blackwood Forest as he flew at top speed. Shenyo, Shunhu stopped them. When Qingyun arrived at the Blackwood Forest, he flew toward the group of red demonic insects to borrow their strength. Hearing Qingyun's order, the red demonic insects immediately gathered and rushed toward the blood shadow remnant thought and the Gorfiend dragons. A bunch of ants. Looking at the red demonic insects that came to stop him, the blood shadow remnant thought curled his lips in disdain and raised his hand to attack the red demonic insects. As the blood shadow remnant thought waved his hand, a terrifying blood-colored saint power burst out from his palm. When the blood-colored saint power burst out, it turned into a huge palm and slammed toward the red demonic insects. So strong. Is this the strength of a celestial domain grade? Seeing the power of the blood shadow remnant thought's palm, Emo Qingyun's face was filled with shock and his mood became even heavier. This was the first time he felt like he was invincible. While Emo Qingyun was still in shock, the huge blood-colored palm fell and enveloped the red demonic insects. Boom! A loud sound was heard. When the sound was heard, a terrifying saint power wave swept out in all directions. Under the aftermath of the saint power wave, the huge black trees in the Blackwood Forest were immediately shattered. Too strong. Seeing the scene behind him, Emo Qingyun immediately felt his heart skip a beat. He was even more fearful of the blood shadow remnant thought. The huge trees that even a nebula-grade divine weapon couldn't damage were actually shattered by the blood shadow remnant thought's palm. From this, it could be seen how terrifying the blood shadow remnant thought's palm was. I originally wanted to let the red demonic insects protect the Sky Soul demon race. What a pity. When he saw that the red demonic insects had been annihilated, Emo Qingyun couldn't help but sigh. As Emo Qingyun lamented, his flying speed became even faster. As long as I pass through the purplish-black poisonous fog, I should be able to stop them. Emo Qingyun arrived in front of the purplish-black poisonous fog and ordered Zunyie and the others to escort him. Emo Qingyun jumped into the insect nest. He entered the purplish-black poisonous fog and disappeared before the blood shadow remnant thought's eyes. You can't escape. Upon seeing Emo Qingyun enter the poisonous fog, the blood shadow remnant thought stood in front of the poisonous fog and stopped moving forward. Kid, you're too naive if you want to use this as an excuse to stop me. As soon as the blood shadow remnant thought finished speaking, it didn't hesitate any longer and immediately ordered the blood dragon. Under his command, the Gorfiend dragons melted one after another, turning into masses of blood. Then, the blood wrapped around the blood shadow remnant thought and protected him as he crossed the poisonous fog. The poisonous fog can't stop it. Seeing the blood shadow remnant thought's actions, Emo Qingyun's eyelids twitched and his heart sank. Chapter 2433. While Emo Qingyun was pondering, the mass of blood formed by the Gorfiend dragon was getting closer and closer. Upon seeing that Emo Qingyun was about to be overtaken, the blood shadow remnant consciousness became complacent and laughed. Kid, you can't escape. Surrender obediently. Hearing the blood shadow remnant thought's words, Emo Qingyun's expression became more solemn, and his heart sank to the bottom. Once his escape route was blocked, he would be in a terrible situation. When Emo Qingyun realized this, a ruthless look appeared on his face. He gritted his teeth and said, I can only try this method. If it still doesn't work, I can only fight the blood shadow remnant consciousness to the death. Then, Emo Qingyun flipped his palm and a gloomy and cold aura emanated from it. At the same time, a terrifying wave of saint power was also emitted from his palm. Death's door. Emo Qingyun waved his palm and blasted out a dark light door that attacked the mass of blood. Then, the dark light door shrouded the mass of blood and blocked its advance. Upon seeing this, Emo Qingyun heaved a sigh of relief and lifted his hand to wipe away the cold sweat on his forehead. The crisis before him had been somewhat resolved. However, Emo Qingyun knew very well that the Death's Door could not kill the blood shadow remnant consciousness given its celestial domain grade cultivation. I hope the Death's Door can trap him for a while longer so that I can take the opportunity to get rid of him. Emo Qingyun could not help but sigh as he looked at the Death's Door behind him. A sense of anticipation rose in his heart. The longer Emo Qingyun could trap the blood shadow remnant consciousness, the more hope he had of escaping. Death's Door. The blood shadow remnant consciousness was surprised when he saw that he had been sealed by the Death's Door. Then he laughed heartily. Kid, I underestimated you. You have actually awakened a natural mystic power. It seems like your bloodline is very pure. This makes it even more suitable for me to take over your body." As the Blood Shadow Remnant consciousness spoke, he did not hesitate and immediately bombarded the death's door. Under the bombardment of the Blood Shadow Remnant consciousness, some cracks immediately appeared on the death's door. Just as Mo Qingyun had guessed, the gate of death could not kill the Blood Shadow Remnant thought. After the time it took to brew a cup of tea, under the continuous bombardment of the Blood Shadow Remnant thought, he finally destroyed the death's door. "Brat, you've successfully infuriated me. You actually made me use up 30 blood dragons." After escaping from the door of death, the Blood Shadow Remnant thought's face darkened and emitted an icy chill. He did not expect that the fellow who was like an ant in his eyes would actually make him pay such a huge price. If that's the case, it's time for the game to end. Seeing that everyone had paid a heavy price because of his carelessness, the Blood Shadow Remnant spirit lost his mood to play the game. Then, the Blood Shadow Remnant consciousness controlled the Gorfiend dragon to cross the poisonous fog. Half a day later, under Zhou Nie's escort, Mo Qingyun exhaled deeply after leaving the area covered by the poisonous fog. After escaping from the poisonous fog, Mo Qingyun was not in a hurry to leave. Instead, he entered the Fortune mainland. In Mo Qingyun's opinion, his flying speed was far inferior to the Blood Shadow Remnant thought. It was not realistic for him to rely on flying speed to shake off the Blood Shadow Remnant thought. He could only rely on a battle of wits and courage. Spirit Tortoise Manifestation. When Mo Qingyun arrived on the Fortune mainland, he did not hesitate and immediately displayed the Spirit Tortoise transformation. He wanted to come into contact with this ability to predict what would happen in the future to resolve the current crisis. As Mo Qingyun displayed the Spirit Tortoise transformation, a huge Xuanwu shadow appeared around his body. Then, not far in front of him, a projection light screen appeared. On the holographic projection, a tall blood-red figure was being besieged by many experts. This blood-red figure was naturally the Blood Shadow Remnant thought. "That's the starry sky." Before Mo Qingyun could see clearly, the holographic projection in front of him disappeared. At the same time, he felt a wave of exhaustion wash over him. When this feeling appeared, Mo Qingyun's expression changed. He sighed inwardly. "It seems that when I use the Spirit Tortoise transformation, the stronger the target and space I predict, the greater the consumption on my mind." Starry sky? Recalling the holographic projection just now, Mo Qingyun's brows furrowed slightly. He wanted to get some information from it. Mo Qingyun's mind spun, and his eyes lit up as he thought of what to do. He smiled faintly and said, "On the savage mainland, no one can suppress the Blood Shadow Remnant thought. This is undoubtedly a bad situation for me. If I go to a high-grade world surface, there will be many experts there. Naturally, they won't allow the Blood Shadow Remnant thought to act recklessly." With this thought, Mo Qingyun knew what to do. He understood how to deal with the Blood Shadow Remnant thought. The Blood Shadow Remnant thought was just a remnant thought. If it appeared ostentatiously, it would definitely attract the attention of experts. At that time, it was easy to imagine the situation. Forget it, using the Spirit Tortoise transformation just now consumed a lot of my mind. I'd better recover first. With this thought in mind, Mo Qingyun discarded the distracting thoughts in his mind and immersed himself in cultivation. While Mo Qingyun was recovering, his heart was also tense. He thought to himself, "I hope I'm hiding on the Fortune mainland and not being discovered by the Blood Shadow Remnant thought. Otherwise, my situation won't be good." A day's time slowly passed, while Mo Qingyun was on tenterhooks. Seeing that the Blood Shadow Remnant thought had not attacked for a whole day, Mo Qingyun finally relaxed. He thought to himself, "It seems the Blood Shadow Remnant thought won't be able to find me if I hide on the Fortune mainland." Seeing this result, Mo Qingyun's mood improved a little. The situation was not too dangerous. At least for now, he still had some means to protect himself. Although he had confirmed that the Blood Shadow Remnant thought would not be able to find the Fortune mainland, he was temporarily safe. Mo Qingyun waited for another 2 days before he allowed Han Liu to leave the Fortune mainland. He then drove the flying boat to land. A few days later, Han Liu finally came out from the Dark Spirit World Abyss. "Master, I've left the Dark Spirit World Abyss. What should I do next?" Coming out from the Dark Spirit World Abyss, Han Liu did not rush on. Instead, he asked for Mo Qingyun's opinion. Hearing Han Liu's question, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate, immediately ordering Han Liu, leave the desolate mainland directly, set out for the Wood Origin Galaxy. In Mo Qingyun's opinion, since they were going to deal with the Divine Wood tribe, it would be best if they could lure the Blood Shadow Remnant thought over. At that time, they would be like dogs biting dogs, while they could sit back and enjoy the fruits of their labor. Yes, hearing Mo Qingyun's order, Han Liu immediately complied, controlling the flying ship to leave the desolate mainland. About half a month later, Mo Qingyun found the 5-colored heavenly crow, planning to leave with it. Originally, the 5-colored heavenly crow was unwilling to leave, wanting to continue devouring the fire of civilization to cultivate. Chapter 2434. On the Fortune mainland, a black-haired young man with a dignified expression was sitting in front of a black light door. The young man waved his right hand, and a blood-colored stone appeared in his palm, exuding a shocking blood chi. This is the 39th piece. Looking at the blood-colored stone in his hand, the young man couldn't help sighing, then threw the blood-colored stone into the black light door. This young man was naturally Mo Qingyun. Ever since he entered the Fortune mainland, he had been in seclusion, seizing every moment to improve his strength. What surprised Mo Qingyun was when he activated the Dark Swallowing Heaven Gate and was about to start cultivating. The Gate of Fortune that had been silent all this time suddenly came out from his body and swallowed a piece of blood crystal. Mo Qingyun was dumbfounded at this situation, then took out another piece of blood crystal and let the immortal Palace of Fortune continue to swallow it. In his opinion, with the Gate of Fortune's mysterious uniqueness, there should be a reason for it to take the initiative to swallow the blood crystal. However, Mo Qingyun didn't know whether to laugh or cry. After the Gate of Fortune had swallowed 39 pieces of blood crystal, there was no reaction or change. Mo Qingyun couldn't help feeling anxious at this result, and his mood became heavy. Although his harvest from this trip to the Dark Spirit Abyss was not small, obtaining a total of 79 pieces of blood crystal, but consuming them in this way was a little unbearable for him. Asterisk rumble. Asterisk while Mo Qingyun was feeling anxious, a low rumble came from the immortal Palace of Fortune. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun's heart skipped a beat, and a look of pleasant surprise appeared on his face. Finally, there's a reaction. I wonder what kind of change will happen to the immortal Palace of Fortune after swallowing so many blood crystals. Under Mo Qingyun's nervous gaze, the originally black immortal Palace of Fortune slowly turned crimson. At the same time, a shocking blood chi spread out from the Gate of Fortune. Shrouded by this blood chi, Mo Qingyun couldn't help but tremble, and a strong sense of uneasiness rose in his heart. Mo Qingyun became even more nervous when this feeling appeared, and his heart jumped to his throat. Under Mo Qingyun's nervous gaze, a small blood-red light gate flew out from the creation immortal gate. As soon as this small blood-red door of light appeared, it flew into Mo Qingyun's forehead and formed a connection with Mo Qingyun. Gate of Bloody Calamity. As Mo Qingyun merged with the blood-red light gate, a vast amount of information surged into his mind. After a while, Mo Qingyun digested the information in his mind. He was shocked and stood rooted to the ground. According to the memories in his mind, those who were hit by the Door of Calamity would have extremely bad luck for a period of time. There's actually such a divine ability. Now that he knew what the Door of Calamity could do, Mo Qingyun became curious. If that's the case, I'll find a living being and see how effective the Door of Calamity is. As soon as this thought appeared in his mind, Mo Qingyun stopped cultivating and slowly stood up. When Mo Qingyun stood up, the creation immortal gate turned into a ray of light and returned to his body. Mo Qingyun's figure flashed and appeared on a grassland. He looked at a wild wolf hunting for food. "I'll use you as an experiment." The corners of Mo Qingyun's mouth curled up slightly as he looked at the wild wolf hunting for food. He raised his hand and waved at it. The instant Mo Qingyun waved his hand, a small blood-red door of light flew out from his palm. The blood-red light left his palm and turned into a ray of blood-red light that blasted into the wild wolf's body. As soon as the blood-red door of light entered the wild wolf's body, a fat gopher dug a hole in front of the wild wolf. The gopher had just popped its head out when it saw the rapidly approaching wild wolf and immediately hid in its hole. Because of the sudden appearance of the gopher hole, the wild wolf was caught off guard and stepped into the hole. Then, the wild wolf lost its balance and fell to the ground. The wild wolf tumbled a few times before crawling up from the ground with difficulty, allowing the wild rabbit to escape. Seeing that the wild rabbit had escaped, the wild wolf did not chase after it and turned to return to its camp. However, just as it turned around, it stepped on the hedgehog and was hit by the hedgehog. Under the hedgehog's hit, the wild wolf immediately jumped around in pain. However, it accidentally stepped on a venomous snake and was bitten by it. Then, the wild wolf died under the venomous snake's mouth because the venomous gas entered its heart. Seeing this scene, Mo Qingyun was dumbfounded. He felt that it was a little unreal. In the time it took to brew a cup of tea, the previously aggressive wild wolf's corpse was exposed in the wilderness in the blink of an eye. Judging from this situation, although the bloody door of disaster did not have any attacking power, its lethality was too fierce. Let's try again. After calming himself down, Mo Qingyun looked at a lion again, wanting to use it as an experiment. The outcome of a wild wolf could not mean anything. He still needed to experiment a few more times. Mo Qingyun's figure flashed and arrived not far from the lion. He waved at it. Then, a small blood-colored door of light flew out from his palm. The blood-colored door of light flashed and disappeared. In the blink of an eye, it entered the lion's body and emitted a mysterious power. At this moment, a blind fly crawled into the lion's nose. When the fly entered its nose, the lion immediately woke up and shook its head crazily. When the lion shook its head, a herd of bison was suddenly frightened and ran towards the lion crazily. As the fly blocked its nose, it affected the lion's movements and made it unable to dodge the charge of the bison herd. Under the brutal charge of the bison herd, the lion was quickly knocked to the ground and trampled by the bison. After a while, when the bison escaped, the lion's body appeared. It had already turned into a pile of mud. What a powerful and domineering divine ability. Seeing this scene, the shock in Mo Qingyun's heart immediately became stronger. The power of this door of calamity was simply too terrifying. Seeing this situation, Mo Qingyun did not believe it and experimented a few more times. The results were the same. The wild beasts that were hit by the bloody door of disaster quickly died in a series of bad luck. After experimenting more than 10 times, Mo Qingyun truly believed that the bloody door of disaster was so terrifying. As expected of the bloody door of disaster. As expected of the bloody door of disaster. I've heard of it. After several experiments, it was precisely the domineering power of the bloody door of disaster. Mo Qingyun could not help but sigh. If I'm not wrong, a divine ability like the bloody door of disaster should be a divine ability of fortune. I didn't expect such a divine ability to exist. While Mo Qingyun was thinking, he also felt some anticipation. He wanted to see the blood shadow remnant thought immediately. Chapter 2435. After experimenting with the gate of bloody light, Mo Qingyun did not think too much about it and immersed himself in cultivation again. As Mo Qingyun immersed himself in cultivation, a piece of blood energy with a threatening aura was emitted from his palm. Taking out the blood crystal, Mo Qingyun refined it and absorbed the bloodline power it contained. Under Mo Qingyun's refinement, tiny blood strands flew out from the blood crystal. When these blood strands appeared, they were like small snakes that drilled into Mo Qingyun's body. Sensing the blood strands that entered his body, Mo Qingyun immediately focused and refined them. Under Mo Qingyun's refinement, Qin Lai's bloodline and cultivation had improved slightly. After discovering this, Mo Qingyun immediately focused and immersed himself in cultivation. Mo Qingyun spent the rest of the time cultivating. Time passed bit by bit. Under Mo Qingyun's cultivation, the blood crystal in his hand was consumed rapidly. A day later, 2 blood crystals were refined and turned into a pile of white powder. 5 days later, 10 blood crystals shattered into powder and scattered in front of Mo Qingyun. In the blink of an eye, 20 days passed. Under Mo Qingyun's concentrated cultivation, all the blood crystals he obtained from the dark spirit abyss were refined by him. After refining the blood crystals, Mo Qingyun stopped cultivating and slowly opened his eyes. I'm still a step away from the middle stage of the nebula realm. It's a pity. After withdrawing from his cultivation, Mo Qingyun sensed his cultivation and revealed a disappointed look. He originally thought that he could break through to the middle stage of the nebula realm after refining these blood crystals. He did not expect to be one step away, which made him feel a little helpless. If it wasn't for the gate of fortune devouring part of it, I should have been able to break through to the middle stage of the nebula realm. Although Mo Qingyun felt that it was a pity, he did not take it to heart. Using up 39 blood crystals to obtain the bloodlight calamity divine ability was undoubtedly worth it. After more than 20 days of hurrying, I wonder where we are now. Mo Qingyun calculated the time and revealed a curious expression. You want to know where they were now? Mo Qingyun's figure flashed and left the Fortune mainland, appearing beside Han Liu. Master, seeing Mo Qingyun appear, Han Liu revealed a respectful expression and hurriedly saluted Mo Qingyun. In response to Han Liu's salute, Mo Qingyun nodded indifferently and asked, "Where are we, and when will we reach the divine wood continent?" Master, we are still in the Dragonstone Galaxy. We are still far from a divine wood continent. Hearing Mo Qingyun's question, Han Liu answered truthfully. Then he pointed to a screen in front of them and said, "According to the map, we can enter the Wood Source Galaxy after crossing the River of Galaxies in front of us." Still in the Dragonstone Galaxy? After knowing their current location, Mo Qingyun frowned, feeling that their speed was too slow. With this thought in mind, Mo Qingyun began to feel that he needed to find a new means of transportation. Looks like I need to change my mode of transportation when we reach the Wood Origin Galaxy. Looking at his speed, Mo Qingyun had this thought and looked into the distance with a solemn expression. Following this, Mo Qingyun did not continue to cultivate. Instead, he continued to travel with Han Liu. He had used up all his cultivation resources. Continuing to cultivate would not bring about much effect. A few days later, with Mo Qingyun and Han Liu rushing at full speed, they arrived at the Wood Origin Galaxy's river and prepared to enter. Just as Mo Qingyun was about to cross the Wood Origin Galaxy's river, a strong sense of uneasiness grew in his heart. "Brat, you run pretty fast, but unfortunately, you can't escape from me." Before Mo Qingyun could suppress his uneasiness, a complacent sneer came from not far away. As soon as this voice finished speaking, Mo Qingyun saw a red figure approaching him. Seeing these red figures, Mo Qingyun's expression immediately tensed up and his heart sank. He did not expect the blood shadow remnant consciousness to still be able to catch up after almost a month. This was too surprising. "This is good. I'll let you see the power of the gate of bloody calamity." After a short moment of shock, Mo Qingyun sneered. This was the situation he wanted. When Mo Qingyun made up his mind, he did not hesitate and immediately said to Han Liu, "Let's enter the River of Galaxies first and rush towards the Wood Source Galaxy at full speed." Yes. After hearing Mo Qingyun's instructions, Han Leo immediately responded and controlled the flying ship to enter the Wood Origin Galaxy's river. After Mo Qingyun entered the Wood Origin Galaxy's river, he immediately condensed the Gate of Bloody Light and prepared to attack the Blood Shadow Remnant Consciousness. Not long after Mo Qingyun entered the Wood Origin Galaxy's river, the Blood Shadow Remnant Consciousness caught up with him and closed the distance between them. Brat, surrender. You won't be able to escape. Seeing Mo Qingyun getting closer and closer, the Blood Shadow Remnant Consciousness laughed proudly, as if victory was already in his grasp. While he was laughing, a small blood-colored light flashed a few times and blasted into his body. After being bombarded by the Gate of Bloody Light, the Blood Shadow Remnant Consciousness frowned and felt that something was wrong. However, the Blood Shadow Remnant Consciousness did not know what exactly was wrong, so it did not care. At this moment, a group of guards in green armor discovered Mo Qingyun in the Wood Origin Galaxy's river. Humph! The Blood Soul Galaxy's people are really bold to come to my Wood Source Galaxy. Seeing the Blood Shadow Remnant Consciousness in the Wood Origin Galaxy's river, the guards in green armor immediately chased after the Blood Shadow Remnant Consciousness. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun's face immediately lit up and he became excited. He thought to himself, the Gate of Bloody Light is indeed powerful. The Blood Shadow Remnant Consciousness had just been hit by it, and its luck immediately changed. While Mo Qingyun was pleasantly surprised, he also felt a trace of fatigue, as if he had lost all his strength. Just now, when he used the Gate of Bloody Light to hit the Blood Shadow Remnant Consciousness, his majestic saint energy was immediately drained. There was an obvious difference between this situation and when he had used it on wild beasts. It seems that the Gate of Bloody Light consumes different saint energy depending on the target it is used on. Mo Qingyun thought about it and immediately understood the reason for his current situation. Seeing that the Blood Shadow Remnant Consciousness was stopped, Mo Qingyun did not let his guard down. With a tense expression, he said, although the Gate of Bloody Light has caused trouble for the Blood Shadow Remnant Consciousness, with the strength of these guards, I'm afraid it's difficult to stop it. After this discovery, Mo Qingyun's heart sank again. This was not good news for him. Chapter 2436. A bunch of ants that have a death wish. The Blood Shadow Remnant Consciousness shouted angrily as he looked at the guards surrounding him. Then, he waved his arm at the guards. As the Blood Shadow Remnant thought waved his arm, numerous blood flood dragons with imposing auras flew out from the blood cloud beneath his feet. When these blood dragons appeared, they exuded a frightening aura that scared the guards. So many powerful blood dragons. This is not something we can deal with. Retreat. Retreat quickly. Don't fight them head on. Go back and report to the commander. Only the commander can deal with such a powerhouse. When they saw the Blood Shadow Remnant Consciousness make a move, the guards did not want to stay any longer. Thus, they quickly turned and fled. As the guards turned and fled, the blood dragons wriggled their bodies and lunged at them. In the blink of an eye, the escape route of the guards was blocked by the blood dragons. Roar, roar, roar. After blocking the escape route of the guards, the blood dragons opened their mouths wide and attacked them. Most of the guards were at the Nebula grade, while a few of them were at the Galaxy grade. When they faced the attack of the mid-stage Galaxy grade blood dragons, they immediately fell into a passive situation and were in a perilous situation. If there were no accidents under the violent attack of the Gore Fiend dragon, he would definitely die. When he saw the situation of the guards, the Blood Shadow Remnant Consciousness smirked and said, "A bunch of ants that have a death wish. I will use your blood to feed these pets of mine." As soon as the Blood Shadow Remnant Consciousness said that, he clasped his palms together and formed a hand seal quickly. When the hand seal was formed, it emitted a dazzling light and blasted toward one of the guards. What a powerful mystic ability. Seeing the hand seal coming at him at high speed, the guard immediately panicked and his face turned ashen. He knew very well that if he was hit by the hand seal, he would be smashed to pieces. Boom! At this moment, a huge black flood dragon leaped out of the galaxy's river. As soon as the black flood dragon appeared, it pounced on a blood flood dragon and swallowed it whole. Boom! When the black dragon swallowed the blood dragon, the hand seal blasted by the blood shadow remnant consciousness hit its tail. After being hit by the handprint, the black dragon immediately screamed and turned to glare at the blood shadow remnant thought. A celestial domain-grade galaxy black demonic Jiao. I didn't expect such an existence to exist here. What day is it today? Why are celestial domain-grade powerhouses appearing one after another? For celestial domain-grade powerhouses to appear consecutively in such a remote area is truly unbelievable. While the Blood Soul Galaxy's experts are distracted, let the Black Star Demonic Jiao attract them. Let's get out of here quickly. The appearance of the gigantic galactic black demonic Jiao dragon immediately attracted the attention of the guards. He was so scared that he almost fainted. Soon after, they no longer hesitated and immediately fled out of the galaxy. Seeing that the guards wanted to escape, the Blood Shadow Remnant Spirit was very angry, but he did not chase after them. In his opinion, the Black Devil sect was the most difficult to deal with compared to the guards who had escaped. Bastard! How dare you devour my pet? Die! Glancing at the dark demonic Jiao dragon, the Blood Shadow Remnant mind roared and attacked the dark demonic Jiao dragon. The Blood Shadow Remnant thought's hands quickly formed a hand seal and pointed at the center of his eyebrows. Then, an imposing black door of light flew out from between his eyebrows. As soon as the black light gate appeared, it turned into a stream of light and blasted toward the dark demonic Jiao of the galaxy. Roar! Facing the attack of the Blood Shadow Remnant Spirit, the dark demonic Jiao dragon did not retreat and immediately launched a counterattack. The dark demonic Jiao dragon's body twisted and turned on the surface of the river, causing a terrifying wave to rise. As soon as the wave appeared, it blasted toward the hand seal with an overbearing and terrifying power. Bang! The handprint blasted on the surface of the sea wave, and immediately a loud sound burst out, and the sea wave was destroyed in an overbearing manner. After crushing the wave, the Blood Shadow Remnant Spirit did not stop attacking and attacked the dark demonic Jiao dragon again. Seeing how powerful the Blood Shadow Remnant Spirit was, the dark demonic Jiao dragon did not fight it head-on. He immediately turned around and dived into the galaxy. In the blink of an eye, the dark demonic Jiao dragon disappeared from the Blood Shadow Remnant Spirit's sight. Bastard, don't even think about escaping. Seeing the dark demonic Jiao dragon escape, the Blood Shadow Remnant Spirit roared and dived into the galaxy. But what made the Blood Shadow Remnant Spirit vomit blood was that a whirlpool appeared at the bottom of the galaxy just as he was about to enter. Then, the Blood Shadow Remnant Spirit and the dark demonic Jiao dragon were swallowed by the whirlpool. Under the tearing force of the whirlpool, a few dark demonic Jiao dragons were caught off guard and were immediately torn to pieces. Space Fission Whirlpool. Enduring the overbearing attack of the whirlpool, the Blood Shadow Remnant Spirit's expression trembled and a chill rose in his heart. Then, the Blood Shadow Remnant Spirit did not dare to chase after them anymore. He immediately retreated from the river with the dark demonic Jiao dragon. After the Blood Shadow Remnant Spirit retreated from the river, he was so angry that his body trembled and his face became as dark as ink. After going around in a big circle, he did not kill a single person. Instead, he lost several late-stage, dark demonic Jiao dragons. More importantly, he was unlucky enough to encounter the space fission, which only occurred once every 10 million years. He had to admit that his luck was extremely bad. Kid, you're lucky today. Those guys messed it up. Looking in the direction Mo Qingyun had escaped, the Blood Shadow Remnant Spirit clenched his fists and his veins bulged. He said in a sinister voice, "You have the aura of enchantment on you. You can't escape my senses and tracking. One day, you will fall into my hands." In the Blood Shadow Remnant Spirit's opinion, he was being treated like this because of Mo Qingyun. After saying this, the Blood Shadow Remnant Spirit did not stop and chased after Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun did not know what had happened to the Blood Shadow Remnant spirit. After shaking off the Blood Shadow Remnant spirit, he hurried on with his journey. I can't go on like this. I have to find a way to hide. Mo Qingyun sat in the flying boat. His mind was spinning rapidly as he thought about how to completely get rid of the pursuit. Mo Qingyun's mind spun as he came up with an idea. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly as he said, I will use the myriad transformations to change my appearance and enter a large force. I believe that the Blood Shadow Remnant spirit should be wary. Based on the behavior of the guards, Mo Qingyun could infer that the Blood Shadow Remnant spirit would be hunted down by various large forces if he stayed in the Wood Source Galaxy. In this way, it would be difficult for the Blood Shadow Remnant spirit to deal with him if he sneaked into a large force. After coming up with this idea, Mo Qingyun did not want to waste any time and was ready to implement it immediately. The force I choose can't be an ordinary sect. Otherwise, it won't be able to contend with the Blood Shadow Remnant spirit. Mo Qingyun's mind spun as he thought of a crucial point. He began to ponder in his mind again. Apart from that, it would be even better if I could borrow his strength to deal with the Divine Wood tribe after joining this faction. Chapter 2437. Master, there is a piece of land ahead. Should we go in? While Mo Qingyun was pondering, Han Liu had an inquiring look on his face as he asked for his opinion. Upon hearing Han Liu's question, Mo Qingyun pondered for a moment before nodding. Let's enter that piece of land first. I want to gather some information and buy a better means of transportation. Mo Qingyun thought to himself. He had just arrived in the Wood Source Galaxy and was unfamiliar with the place. It wouldn't be too late for him to gather some information before continuing his journey. Otherwise, if he were to wander around the Wood Source Galaxy recklessly, it would be troublesome if he were to violate any taboos. In a two-star system, there were many celestial domain-grade powerhouses. He wouldn't be able to deal with such a powerhouse at his current level. Yes. Upon hearing Mo Qingyun's instructions, Han Liu responded and controlled the flying boat to descend. Under Han Liu's control, the flying boat quickly landed on the piece of land and stopped on a huge mountain peak. Let's go. Upon arriving on the piece of land, Mo Qingyun kept the flying boat and called out to Han Liu. As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, his figure flashed and he flew down the mountain peak. As Mo Qingyun flew, he released his soul power to search for the natives of this piece of land. There's a group of people over there. Let's go over and ask. Mo Qingyun sensed that there was a group of people and immediately flew towards them. After a short while, Mo Qingyun arrived in front of the group and blocked their path. Upon seeing Mo Qingyun and Han Liu's actions, the group of people was shocked and took precautions. At the same time, they looked at Mo Qingyun with a strong sense of fear. The two of you, may I know why you have stopped us? After sizing up Mo Qingyun and the young man, the oldest man in the group asked Mo Qingyun, "What's the matter?" Hearing this person's question, Mo Qingyun put on a friendly expression and asked, "Please don't panic. The two of us don't have any ill intentions in stopping you. We just want to ask you what continent this is and where is the largest trading place?" Upon hearing Mo Qingyun's question, the group's expression changed and their eyes were filled with surprise. Judging from Mo Qingyun's words, he seemed to be from another piece of land. This was a bit incredible. People who could travel from one piece of land to another piece of land was obviously not simple. When everyone noticed this, the way they looked at Mo Qingyun immediately underwent a great change. "Brother, this is a one-star realm, divine ox continent." After calming himself down, the middle-aged man replied, "As for the biggest trading place, it's naturally Heavenly Bull Mountain. It's the trading place with the most goods and the most fair prices on the Divine Bull Continent. Divine Ox Mount." Upon hearing the middle-aged man's words, Mo Qingyun frowned and became even more curious. After that, Mo Qingyun had a plan, and he said to the middle-aged man before him, "Fellow Taoist, do you have a map to head to Sky Bull Mountain?" If you do, then please sell it to me." Upon hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the middle-aged man smiled faintly and said, "To be honest, we're going to Divine Ox Mountain. If you don't mind, you can come with us." "Oh, then we'll be bothering you." Mo Qingyun was slightly surprised by the middle-aged man's invitation, but he immediately nodded in agreement. It would be great to have this group of people lead the way. Following this, Mo Qingyun traveled with them and hurried to Divine Ox Mountain. On the way to Divine Ox Mountain, Mo Qingyun chatted with the group as they walked and became more familiar with each other. This group of people came from a force called the Dragon Rhinoceros Clan. The man in the lead was called Shi Hong, an elder of the Dragon Rhinoceros Clan. As for the three young men behind him, they were called Shi Ao, Shi Wei, and Shi Ran. They were all juniors of Shi Hong's clan. They were going to Divine Ox Mountain because Shi Ao and the other two were going to participate in the entrance examination of Divine Ox Mountain sect. Entrance examination? Upon knowing the purpose of Shi Hong and the others, Mo Qingyun was shocked and could not help but look at the three of them. Shi Ao and the other two had reached the Saint Realm. With their strength, they wanted to join Divine Ox Mountain sect. It seemed that Divine Ox Mountain sect was not weak. With this thought in mind, Mo Qingyun revealed a curious expression and asked, "Fellow Taoist Shi Tiao, how strong is Mount Skybull's sect? What is the cultivation level of the strongest person in the sect?" Shi Hong did not hide anything from Mo Qingyun's question. Although Divine Ox Mountain sect is not the strongest force in the Divine Ox continent, the strength of the sect should not be underestimated. Currently, there is a celestial domain-grade powerhouse and more than 10 galaxy-grade powerhouses in the sect. A celestial domain-grade powerhouse in the sect. Hearing Shi Hong's words, Mo Qingyun's expression changed. He was very surprised by this situation. Upon seeing Mo Qingyun's surprised expression, Shi Hong nodded solemnly and said, "Brother Mo, you may not know this, but Divine Ox Mountain sect is not a native force of the Divine Ox continent. It is a branch of the Divine Ox sect in the Divine Wood continent. The purpose of establishing a sect here is to attract talents for the Divine Ox sect." So that's how it is. Mo Qingyun nodded after hearing Shi Hong's explanation. The doubts in his heart had been resolved. When Mo Qingyun understood this, he was also a little surprised. The Skybull Mountain sect was actually related to the Divine Wood continent. If he entered Divine Ox Mountain sect, wouldn't it be easy for him to gain a foothold in the Divine Wood continent? As Mo Qingyun pondered this, Shi Hong, who was next to him, pondered for a moment before saying, "Brother Mo, if you can become a disciple of Divine Ox Mountain sect, you can enjoy a 10% discount when purchasing items in Divine Ox Mountain sect. Is there such a good thing?" Upon hearing Shi Hong's words, Mo Qingyun was surprised once again. He couldn't help but feel a little tempted. If this was the case, he could kill two birds with one stone if he entered Divine Ox Mountain sect. Mo Qingyun pondered this for a moment before saying, "Brother Shi Hong, I don't know anything about the Divine Ox Mountain sect's disciple assessment. Please enlighten me." "Brother Shi, you are too polite." Seeing Mo Qingyun's interest, Shi Hong's expression was joyful. He immediately explained to Mo Qingyun, "This time, Divine Ox Mountain sect is recruiting disciples mainly for outer and inner disciples, corresponding to the Saint Realm and the Nebula Realm respectively. With your Nebula Realm cultivation, you can participate in the inner disciple assessment. Once you pass the assessment, you will directly become an official disciple." "I see." After Shi Hong's explanation, Mo Qingyun nodded in understanding. He had a general understanding in his heart. It seemed that Divine Ox Mountain sect was recruiting disciples mainly for inner disciples of the Nebula Realm. Chapter 2438. 5 days later, as Mo Qingyun and the rest hurried along, a huge mountain range appeared in front of them. The mountain range stretched on for a long time. At a glance, they could not see the end of it. On both sides of the mountain range, there were two towering peaks that reached into the clouds. At first glance, The two towering peaks looked like the horns of a raging bull. In between the two peaks, there were many short peaks with many palaces built on them. If he was not mistaken, the mountain gate of the Skybull Mountain sect was built on one of these short peaks. The Skybull Mountain sect lives up to its name indeed. After sizing up the Skybull Mountain sect, Mo Qingyun could not help but sigh. He nodded to Shihong beside him and said, "Brother Shihong, let's not waste any more time. Let's go straight to the Skybull Mountain sect." "All right." Shihong nodded when he heard Mo Qingyun's words. He led the way for Mo Qingyun. Soon, under Shihong's lead, the group walked into a bustling street. On both sides of the street, there were shops of various sizes selling all kinds of strange items. Don't miss this. Divine weapons from a 3-star realm are on sale. The blood of a divine beast descendant, a super material for refining pills. Come take a look if you're interested. The Galaxy Enlightenment Pill, a divine pill that works. It's the first divine pill to become an immortal. A few shop assistants stood in front of the shop and kept shouting to attract the attention of the crowd. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun could not help but shake his head. A faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. It seemed that no matter what kind of person it was, they would boast about their goods in order to make a deal. The street was very long. Mo Qingyun and the rest walked for a few hours before they arrived at the entrance of the Skybull Mountain sect. Standing at the entrance of the Skybull Mountain sect, Mo Qingyun saw an ethereal cloud shrouding the entire Skybull Mountain. At that moment, the Skybull Mountain sect gave Mo Qingyun the feeling that it had become a sacred place for immortals. "Let's go and register." After pausing for a while at the entrance of the Skybull Mountain sect, Shihong walked toward the entrance. At this moment, there were many people lining up at the entrance of the Heavenly Bull Mountain sect, registering their information. If he was not mistaken, these people at the entrance of the Heavenly Bull Mountain sect were all here to participate in the disciple assessment. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun, Shihong, and the others patiently lined up at the back of the crowd. "Get out of the way. Let our young master Qiu register first." As Mo Qingyun and the others were lining up, a group of arrogant voices came from behind them. Hearing this arrogant voice, everyone turned their heads and looked towards the source of the voice. Dichio, the mountain-moving clan, is truly too arrogant. While Mo Qingyun was hesitating, a few of his followers attacked Shihong and injured him severely. "You are overestimating yourself." After injuring Shihong, Dichio smiled proudly and walked slowly to Shiwei. "Little beauty, I advise you not to resist. No one here can save you. Serve me obediently from now on." Hearing Dichio's words, Shiwei's face became paler and her delicate body could not help but tremble. In a panic, she instinctively looked at Mo Qingyun and her eyes were filled with pleading. In her opinion, the only person who could save her now was Mo Qingyun. Seeing Shiwei's pleading gaze, Dichio squinted his eyes and looked at Mo Qingyun. After sizing up Mo Qingyun, Dichio curled his lips in disdain and said, "Boy, I don't care what relationship you have with her. I order you to crawl through my crotch and disappear from my sight. Otherwise, you will leave lying down." After Dichio finished speaking, he lifted his right foot and pointed at his crotch. When Dichio ordered Mo Qingyun, he proudly raised his head and laughed boastfully at Shiwei. "Little beauty, I will show you how this boy will kneel in front of me and beg for mercy." Chapter 2439. Seeing Dichio's action, Mo Qingyun's face turned ugly. Dichio had touched his bottom line. He didn't want to cause trouble, but that didn't mean he was afraid of it. A small mountain shifter tribe wasn't enough to make him afraid of Dichio. At most, he would kill Dichio and leave the Heavenly Rhinoceros continent. The mountain shifter tribe wouldn't be able to do anything to him. "That's enough. If you take the initiative to leave now, I won't bother with you." Looking at Dichio in front of him, Mo Qingyun's expression was cold as he warned Dichio. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Dichio's face turned ugly. He felt very unhappy in his heart. In his opinion, Mo Qingyun, Shi Hong, and the others should be the younger generation of the draconic rhinoceros tribe. With Mo Qingyun's identity, he actually dared to threaten him. This was simply courting death. Brat, I think you're tired of living. How dare you talk to me like this? Dichio was furious. He glared at Mo Qingyun and said with an arrogant face, I'll tell you clearly. If you still want to live, cripple your own legs and crawl under my crotch again. Noisy. Seeing Dichio's performance, Mo Qingyun didn't wait for him to finish his words and kicked him. Under Mo Qingyun's kick, Dichio was immediately sent flying and hit a huge rock. Seeing this scene, the surrounding people were stunned. They were frightened by Mo Qingyun's actions. With Dichio's powerful identity, Mo Qingyun actually dared to make a move on him. It was like a flood rushing against the Dragon King's temple. This brat is in trouble. He's too young and didn't think of the consequences of doing this. Dichio is too much. It's normal for young people to have trouble controlling their emotions. With the strength of the draconic rhinoceros tribe, it's too difficult to compete with the mountain shifter tribe. The only way to save him now is to become an inner disciple of the heavenly rhinoceros sect. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, everyone couldn't help but worry for him. Seeing that Dichio was sent flying by Mo Qingyun's kick, his followers were all shocked and hurriedly ran towards him. With the help of his followers, Dichio stood up with great difficulty. He gloomily glared at Mo Qingyun and roared, Brat, how dare you attack me? I'm going to kill all of you. Seeing Dichio's reaction, Shi Hong's old face trembled. His heart was in his mouth as he said, Fellow Taoist Mo, you are in big trouble. Before Dichio's big brother arrives, you should leave quickly. Mo Qingyun knew what Shi Hong meant. He was worried that Dichio would take revenge on him. Fellow Taoist, Shi Qiao, there's no need to worry. It's just a small mountain shifter clan. Mo Qingyun smiled and comforted Shi Hong. He then glanced at Shi Wei and the others and said, Besides, if I leave, what will you do? Won't you take revenge for me? But, hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Shi Hong's expression changed. He was touched. Hearing Fang Han's call, Dichio's expression immediately relaxed, and he quickly walked behind Fang Han. He knew very well that if he wanted to get rid of Mo Qingyun now, he had to leave with Fang Han. I'll wait for you in the inner sect. Seeing that Dichio had come to his side, Fang Han said something to Mo Qingyun before he turned around and left. Mo Qingyun did not reply to Fang Han's action and only looked at him indifferently. After Fang Han and Dichio left, the surroundings returned to peace, and everyone patiently registered their identity. Not long after, it was finally Mo Qingyun and the others turned to register their information. Take out your star seals. I want to make a copy of it. When Ma Kong saw Mo Qingyun and the others approaching, he spoke coldly with a displeased expression. Hearing Ma Kang's words, Mo Qingyun was stunned, and a trace of confusion appeared on his face. He asked, What is a star seal? Fellow Taoist Mo, you don't have a star seal? Shi Hong opened his eyes wide and was stunned by Mo Qingyun's words. He said to Mo Qingyun in a deep voice, Young friend, I don't care who you are, but you have injured my sex people. Shouldn't you give me an explanation? Explanation? Mo Qingyun smiled disdainfully in the face of Zhou Ping's question. He said, I originally wanted to join your esteemed sect, but these two people made things difficult for me in every possible way. I could only turn around and leave. However, they wanted to forcefully detain me. Can't I resist? Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Zhou Ping could not help but fall silent. He did not know how to answer Mo Qingyun. While Zhou Ping was silent, Mo Qingyun glanced at Ma Kong and the other man and said, Besides that, I want to clarify that I don't need to launch a sneak attack to deal with the two of them. After Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he did not say anything else and turned to leave. It wasn't a sneak attack. Hearing Mo Qingyun's explanation, Zhou Ping's expression shook, and the shock in his heart grew even stronger. He thought to himself, with his nebula early-stage cultivation, he was actually able to injure Ma Kong and Lu Yi in a direct confrontation. Even elite disciples can't compare to him. This kid is a super genius. I must keep him in the sect. When Zhou Ping thought of this, his expression became excited. He immediately went to Mo Qingyun's side. You want to attack me too? Seeing Zhou Ping stop him, Mo Qingyun's expression turned cold as he questioned him with displeasure. Since he had already attacked, there was nothing for him to worry about. At worst, he would fight the Skybull Mountain sect. Chapter 2443. Not long after, the people who had registered in front of the mountain gate all came to the square. As everyone arrived, Wu Feng stood up from his chair and explained some of the rules of the assessment. Everyone, please be quiet. Before the assessment begins, I will first explain the assessment criteria. Wu Feng put his hands behind his back with a solemn expression and shouted to the crowd. He then said, the assessment criteria for this time will mainly be carried out in 3 aspects: bloodline, bone age, and St. Power Star cluster. As for the measurement of bone age, if the bone age of an outer court disciple is over 1,000 years old, he will not be qualified. If the bone age of an inner court disciple is over 10,000 years old, he will not be qualified. As for the measurement of bloodline, we will use a blood testing stone. During the testing process, the blood testing stone will emit a 7-colored light, which is red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, and purple. Red is the lowest, purple is the highest, and green is the lowest. The last test, St. Power Star cluster, is relatively simple. If the number of St. Power Star clusters is less than 2,000, he will not be qualified. As Wu Feng continued to talk, he explained some of the criteria and rules of the assessment one by one. Hearing Wu Feng's words, everyone immediately whispered to each other. Some people looked nervous and disappointed. Obviously, their aptitude was not up to par. Perhaps they were hoping for a fluke and knew that they were not talented enough, but these people did not take the initiative to leave. I have finished explaining some of the criteria for the assessment. Now, the assessment will officially begin. After explaining the criteria for the assessment, Wu Feng condensed a handprint and hit an ancient tree in the center of the square. As the handprint landed on the ancient tree emitted a green light and extended 2 long branches. The 2 branches stretched out like 2 hands, swaying naturally. Seeing this scene, Mo Qingyun's expression changed slightly, and he looked at the ancient tree curiously. Now, I will start to call out names. Those who are called by me will walk to the front of the divine bone-touching tree. Wu Feng activated the ancient tree. With a solemn expression on his face, he took out a bee-skin scroll and said, although all of you may have come from different planes, and the rules for calculating bone age are different, the bone age measured by the divine bone tree is the most fair. You do not need to worry about this. Zhang Qingbi. Under Wu Feng's call, a thin young man walked out from the crowd. Zhang Qingbi walked to the foot of the divine bone-touching tree, and the 2 human-shaped branches began to caress his body. After a while, the bone-touching divine tree retracted its branches, and some words appeared on its main trunk. Bone age, 897.